First TV.
The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are the North. We are the West.
As the month of April comes to a close, there are so many good things happening with your Rangers. A 16-9 record is a great place to start, considering they've played 7 more on the road than at home. They've lost Matt Harrison for half a season, but they found out what Nick Tepish and Justin Grimm are made of. Their offense hasn't really kicked into gear, but the pitching is among the league's best. And then there's Yu Darvish. At times he's been unhittable. His arsenal of pitches is unthinkable, and his April has been memorable. He's starting tonight as your Rangers welcome the Chicago White Sox to the ballpark. Well, after a difficult end to an otherwise good road trip, the Rangers had a well-deserved day off yesterday. Tonight, it's back to the office at home at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. The first of 6 games on this homestand. The White Sox are in town. The Rangers look back, get back on the winning track. And welcome along, everyone, with Tom Graves, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us for this Tuesday night of Ranger baseball. And it's Yu Darvish on this Tuesday night. And, well, what a night it proves to be, because Yu Darvish has been nothing short of sensational in the month of April.
He really has, Buzz. His games are starting to become must-see ball games for fans, not just in the Metroplex, but all around the country. Where does he rank this year? 6th in ERA in Major League Baseball, 1st in strikeouts. Opponents are hitting 145 against him. I think the one that shows how tough he's been to hit this year, no one in baseball has had more pitches swung and missed at than Yu Darvish. 40% have been swung and missed at. This guy's coming off 2 shutout outings. His last one in Anaheim may be the best start he's had as a Ranger. Not in longevity, not in numbers, but just for pure stuff. He was spectacular.
Make sure you get your cold drinks and your food right away, because you don't want to have to leave during any of the main feature that's coming up with Yu Darvish on the mound. We'll be back with the starting lineup and the first pitch from Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. The Rangers and the White Sox right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Arlington, and as Hugh goes out to begin his warm-up tosses, let's head down to the field where Emily Jones is standing by.
Well, Buzz, perhaps no one looking more forward to this series than the former White Sox A.J. Pierzynski. However, he will not be in the lineup tonight. He has had a minor oblique issue that's been bothering him. They're erring on the side of caution, so Giovanni Soto will be the battery mate for Yu Darvish, which is nothing new for you.
It's not like it's someone that's strange to Yu Darvish. He'll put down fingers. If he don't like it, he'll shake it off. And if he go to the pitch and he don't throw the pitch as well, then I think Yu Darvish have to take credit for that. But it's not like it's a strange guy back there calling games for him. He and Soto have a relationship also, and that's one situation that I love here. Both of my catchers are very good receivers.
Ron Washington with tonight's Geico quote of the game. And as we mentioned, just precautionary on A.J. Pierzynski. He should be back in the lineup tomorrow and is available to pinch hit tonight should Ron Washington need him. Buzz, Tom.
All right, Emily, thank you. Well, that's good to know that A.J. is going to be okay. And the White Sox order tonight that Yu Darvish will face. Alejandro De Aza leads off. He's in left field. Tyler Green's the second baseman. Alex Rios bats third, plays right. Adam Dunn is the cleanup hitter. He plays first tonight. The DH is Paul Konerko. Connor Gillespie is the third baseman. He's hitting sixth. Alexei Ramirez is the shortstop. Hector Jimenez is the catcher. And in center field, Dwayne Wise. He bats ninth.
Check out our Budweiser scouting report on you. He's won 4 out of 5 starts. His ERA 165, fourth best in the American League. 10 or more strikeouts in 3 of his 5 starts. 12-2, 370 in 16 career starts at our ballpark. So he's pitched well in our ballpark, and he's pitched well this season. His last start was 6 shutout innings against the Angels. He struck out 11. Before that, it was 7 shutout innings and struck out 10. That was against Seattle.
And the first pitch this evening is low and inside to De Aza. It is 1 ball and no strikes. Alejandro De Aza, as you see, pretty good power up there at the top of the order. 237, though, his average. It's a 273 on base percentage. Darvish with the 1-0 pitch. And a little topper foul down the first base side. Mitch Moreland will handle that. And it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, the Ranger defense tonight brought to you by Echo. Baker, the start in left field. Gentry and Cruz in center and right. You saw Moreland at first. Kinsler and Andrews up the middle. Beltre at third. Giovanni Soto behind the plate. And Yu Darvish is on the hill. 1 ball and 1 strike. And a rip and a miss. Pitch down and in. Umpiring crew here this evening. Adrian Johnson calling the balls and strikes. Fielding Culbreth is the crew chief. He's at first. Bill Welke at second. And Joe West, the veteran umpire, over at third. A ball and 2 strikes to De Aza. Familiar spot for Yu Darvish, being ahead 2 strikes on the first hitter. And he gets a fly ball to right field. Cruz back a couple of steps, waiting for it to come down. Puts it away. And the first hitter flies out for out number 1. Before we get too far in the process here tonight, the wind blowing in from almost dead center field, maybe a little bit of left center field, but watching it during batting practice and during warm-ups this afternoon, there's this pretty significant jet stream blowing out at that time. Now, that was an hour ago, but the wind hasn't changed direction. We'll see if that comes into play tonight. But it looked like old times at Rangers Ballpark. Tyler Green, the second baseman, is next, and he shoots one to right field. Cruz a long way to go toward the corner, and it's off the tip of his glove. Green at second is going to go for 3. And the throw is cut off by Kinsler. Sliding in with a 1-out triple is Tyler Green.
Well, he sliced it to right field. It looked like Nelly saw the ball all the way, reacted to it well, got to it okay, stuck his glove down, just didn't catch it. Let's take another look. Kind of an inside-out swing. Ball, nothing exceptional about it. Got there, just didn't catch it. That may go as a triple, but that's a play Nelly should make.
The 1 out now with Green at third base. Alex Rios 6 home runs, 11 driven in, is at the plate. And the breaking ball is a bit wide for ball 1. Rios at 281 for the season. He's the team leader with those 6 home runs. White Sox have had a difficult time scoring runs. They are last in the American League, having plated just 83 so far. Line drive, base hit left field. Down the line from third is Tyler Green. He will score, and the White Sox take an early 1-0 lead on Yu Darvish and the Rangers. Looked like an off-speed pitch that Alex Rios waited for very nicely.
Yeah, Darvish's fastball, at least early in the game, is 90, 92 miles an hour. He just had a nice, comfortable swing. That's a swing we didn't see in 6 innings in Anaheim when Yu's fastball was 94 to 97 miles an hour. Early in the game, not quite there, and they've taken a couple good swings at it.
No, a triple and a single back-to-back in the first producer run. Now Adam Dunn, slugging first baseman, designated hitter, is up there. And he takes the breaking ball for strike 1. Dunn hitting just 143. But he has 5 home runs. He has driven in 11. He's a guy that when he puts the ball in play is extremely dangerous. Boy, he is something power-wise. There goes Rios. The pitch is a strike. The throw to second is not in time. Well, Giovanni Soto did about all he could, and Alex Rios simply stole that one against Yu Darvish.
Yeah, Rios is a good base stealer. He stole over 20 bases last year. Hits in the middle of the lineup. But for a big guy, he runs pretty well. Knows how to run the bases. Just did beat. Perfect throw from Soto. Right exactly where you want it. Quick tag by Elvis, but he was already there.
So now a man in scoring position. It's no balls and 2 strikes to Dunn. Now Dunn tired of waiting, and he backs out as Giovanni Soto was going through the signs.
And that beautiful camera angle will show you why he was called safe.
Now Soto is going to go out and talk to Yu Darvish, see exactly what the right-hander wants to do. With Rios at second base, that's stolen base, by the way, the 6th of the year for Rios. He is the team leader for the White Sox, AT Pierzynski, and he knows all about the running ability of Alex Rios and company.
One thing that should work in Darvish's favor in this game is the White Sox are last in the league in walks by about 10 walks. So they're a free swinging team, and if Darvish has good stuff, he should be able to get them to swing at pitches out of the strike zone. Dunn is not one of those guys that swings at a lot of pitches out of the strike zone.
He took that as a relatively close pitch. Well, Dunn in 84 at bats has 9 walks and 30 strikeouts. So he is striking out a better than a third of the time. Now the 1-2. Wow. And that one just missed. That'll even the count to Dunn at 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Let's see where that pitch is. It's actually more of a strike than where the glove was. Yeah, it's all the way in the strike zone. That one must have fooled Adrian Johnson with that late movement. Much doubt that was a strike, at least according to our pitch tracks.
And again, Darvish backing off. Alex Rios at second base. He had an RBI single, swipe second. And he is out there for Adam Dunn to try and drive home. Now Darvish has the one he wants. The 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. And Dunn down on strikes. The 31st time this year that Dunn has gone down on strike 3. 2 away, and Paul Konerko coming up. Strikeout number 50 on the season for Yu Darvish.
After that 94-mile-an-hour fastball, this hard breaking ball, downward breaking hard curveball, was a little more than he could handle. Well out of the strike zone, but that's not uncommon for those type of swings at his assortment of breaking balls.
So 2 away, and here's a guy you want to be careful with in a run-producing scenario, and that's what Konerko has right now. Pitch down and away. It is 1 ball and no strikes. Konerko, over the years, an RBI machine for these White Sox. 14 runs driven in thus far this year, and that is tops on the White Sox team. Even though he's a right-handed hitter, and you have a left-handed hitter on deck, I would think when you fall behind the way that Darvish has now, you really want to be careful with Konerko. Saw the other numbers. Konerko hitting .235. Runners in scoring position, pretty good. 7 out of 14. That's 4th best in the American League. To right field, not hit very well. It's fallen in a hurry. Kinsler can't get there. That drops for a hit. And in to score is Rios. The White Sox take a 2-0 lead. Right off the end of the bat, and Konerko drives in his 15th run of the year, and the White Sox have an early lead over Yu Darvish and the Rangers.
Yeah, it's funny the way baseball works. You have given up a run in 2 starts, and the worst offensive team in the league has scored 2 runs already in the first inning. One hard hit ball, one ball that went for a triple that looked like it might have been a playable ball, and then a little blooper, but they all count.
Connor Gillespie, the third baseman, takes a little bit low for ball 1. Gillespie hitting .310 as he faces Yu Darvish. Fouls that out of play to the left, and the count is even in a ball and a strike. Gillespie, the highest average among American League rookies. Got Konerko at first, 2 outs. White Sox an early 2-0 lead. Darvish ready. Check at first, and the pitch. Slow hook. 67 miles an hour, and Gillespie way out in front of it. Gillespie came over to the White Sox from the San Francisco Giants in exchange for Jeff Soptic this last February. 1-2. That slow breaking ball again. It's way out in front of home plate, and it evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now Darvish getting ready to throw his 20th pitch of this first inning. You remember the last outing that he gave up some runs against Seattle. In Seattle, he gave up 3 in the first inning before he was able to make some adjustments. That's down the right field line. That's trouble. Headed toward the corner. Cruz over to try and get it out of the corner. Konerko being stopped at third now as he kind of ran out of gas. And that's the only thing that prevented the White Sox from having their 3rd run in the inning. Joe McEwing, the third base coach, had to put the stop sign up. But Connor Gillespie with that ringing double to right. And the White Sox now runners at second and third, still 2 outs. And Mike Maddox out to the mound.
Yeah, that ball stayed in the corner for a while. I was kind of happy to see that he held the runner up. Now, Konerko is not a fast runner, but a lot of times with 2 outs, the third base coach will take a little bit of a gamble. And he was pretty much near third base in what looked like he might have a chance to score. In any event, he's at third base, and Yu still has a chance to get out of this inning with only 2 runs given up. Giving up 4 hits to the worst offensive team in the league so far, which again just goes to show you why they play the games.
Well, second and third, Alexei Ramirez, the shortstop, is up there. Ramirez very much a free swinger. Darvish goes to work on him with a breaking ball that's cut on and missed.
He's looking for an inside fastball the way he swung at that pitch. Trying to hit a 3-run homer.
Darvish, a check of the runners, back to the plate. And missed outside with a hard breaking ball. 1-1 to Ramirez. Road games, interestingly enough, have been a haven for Alexei Ramirez this year. See a batting average better than 100 points higher away from U.S. Cellular. Fastball right down through there. 1-2 the count. Guessing game on that pitch, and Ramirez lost that game. Crowd in support of Yu Darvish saying, come on, Yu, get this thing over with. Keep the White Sox to just the 2 first-inning runs. Tried alone away and missed, and the count is even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. You remember last year, the second half of last year, Giovanni Soto caught Yu Darvish quite a few times. And in fact, he caught him more often than Mike Napoli did. And he and Darvish and Soto seemed to work up a pretty good thing together. He gets the strikeout here on the high breaking ball. So the side retired a couple of strikeouts, but the White Sox strike for 2 on 4 hits, and they strand 2. Rangers come to bat at the bottom of the first, trailing 2-0. Brought to you by Ford. Take the EcoBoost Challenge at your Texas Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. By AT Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. Now the Rangers have an early 2-0 deficit by Jack Trump. Jose Quintana out to the mound, and the 24-year-old left-hander, who is 2-0 with a 278 earned run average. Fred Loya delivers the Rangers lineup for you tonight. Ian Kinsler leads off. Elvis Andrews is next. Lance Berkman DHs. Adrian Beltre bats cleanup. Nelson Cruz in right field. Jeff Baker is in left field. He is hitting 6th. Giovanni Soto hits 7th. Mitch Moreland 8th, and Craig Gentry bats 9th. 1-0 pitch to Kinsler. It's a knee-high strike. A ball and a strike.
Jose Quintana, 2-0. Nice ERAs, had 4 starts, 2 of them against Cleveland. Last 3 starts, 0.96 ERA. Rangers saw him in a game last year back in July, and he was terrific. That was the 5th of July. 8 innings, 2 hits, and 1 run, no walks, and 8 strikeouts in that game. Sneaky fastball, good changeup, good command. He'll jam you with his fastball. Good off-speed pitches. Again, a pretty good idea what he's doing out there.
Ramirez, the shortstop, playing over into the hole, and that ball hit right at him by Kinsler. That is out number 1. The rest of the White Sox defense behind Quintana tonight. We have De Aza in left, Wise in center, and Rios in right field. Dunn the first baseman tonight. Green and Ramirez up the middle. The last be the third baseman. Hector Jimenez is the catcher, and Quintana on the hill. No bases empty, 1 out. Here's Elvis Andrus, Rangers shortstop. Elvis, a 7-game hitting streak coming into play here tonight. And average come up about 70 points, 60 points toward the tail end of that last road trip. He really got things going. Didn't really like that call, particularly from Adrian Johnson. And Elvis out walking around a little bit. 0-1 is the count.
Pitcher's pitch.
And that off the plate inside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Last year, Quintana, before the All-Star break, was 6-1. His ERA was .225. Didn't win another game after the All-Star break. Looked like he kind of run out of gas a little bit.
Well, that game that he pitched against the Rangers, and Matt Harrison, I believe it was, matched up with him. That was quite a performance that he had at U.S. Cellular. 1-2 pitch, jet swing, and the ball's in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Elvis.
Quintana last year, checking out the notes with the White Sox, he had 3 outings of 8 scoreless innings and got no decisions in all 3 of them. So he was 6-6, but could have won all 3 of those games pretty easily.
And that's inside. So the count has gone full to Elvis Andrus. He's batting in the number 2 hole. To follow him will be the DH, Lance Berkman. Quintana with a payoff pitch on the way. That's out of play to the right. And we'll come back and try it again. Matter of fact, that series that the Rangers and White Sox had over the 4th of July in Chicago last year, the same 3 pitchers for the White Sox that the Rangers saw then, different order. Again, the 3-2, and again a foul ball. You have Quintana and Sale and Peavy. Elvis has to walk around a little bit, get the sting out of that last foul ball. Elvis has not enjoyed hitting against White Sox pitching of late. The last couple of years it's been really a struggle. To center field, that'll drive Wise back and to his right. There in time to make the grab. That is out number 2. So Elvis guy's out. Now Lance Berkman will come up. Berkman, the switch hitter, digging in from the right side. See the numbers overall for Lance. His 21st game here tonight. .319 the average. Hit 2 out of the ballpark. 15 RBI. And he takes ball 1. Lance. This little kid's having a great time.
I wonder what he's laughing at.
I don't know. I don't know, but he thinks it's funny.
Yeah, he wonders what he's laughing at, too. He's got a game going on in his head.
Berkman ahead of the count now, 2-0. Lance coming off a road trip that was not real kind to him. And he takes a strike there to make it 2-1. Lance just 5 hits in the 7 games away from Arlington, Anaheim, and Minneapolis. 208 the average. Inside, 3-1. Go with 2 outs. Berkman trying to get aboard. If he's able to extend the inning, Adrian Beltre, the Ranger third baseman, he is waiting in the on-deck circle. The 3-1 pitch. And that'll run the count full. Quintana with a payoff pitch to Berkman. Outside, ball 4. Lance, a great eye at the plate. Didn't even think about offering it that. Drew the walk.
That's why his on-base percentage is where it is. There's probably 3 pitches in that at bat that almost every other hitter would have swung at.
Yep.
He took the 2-0 pitch, the 3-1 pitch, and a borderline pitch for ball 4.
So Berkman gets his 16th walk of the year. He's at first with 2 outs. Adrian Beltre, a .221 hitter, is at the plate. And ball 1 is low and inside. Beltre, 4 home runs, 9 driven in. Adrian hasn't had a hit in his last 2 games. That's the first time since the first 2 games of the season that Beltre has not gotten a hit in 2 consecutive games. Looks that one in for a strike to even the count at 1-1. 6 ball games. It's been a pretty titanic struggle for Adrian. But look there for a while. He was starting to hit the ball hard and get a couple to fall in, and then it just went back south on him. Rip and a miss. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Quintana okays the sign. The left-hander comes set. And the 1-2 pitch. Nice block by Jimenez, the catcher. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Beltre. Nice crowd filing in here tonight. You see the Rangers welcome them back home, and watch Yu Darvish try to win his 5th ball game in the month of April. Got some work to do here, getting down in the 1st inning. And Beltre takes low and inside. The count has gone full. Well, 3 consecutive hitters now. Quintana has gone 3 and 2. He's got Elvis to fly out, walk Berkman. Now Beltre's gone 3 and 2. And if he gets on, Nelly Cruz would get a shot here in the 1st inning. See Dunn at first base playing behind Berkman, so he'll get a running start. Berkman on the move, payoff pitch. Ground ball to the right side. That is right at Dunn. He will take it to the bag himself, and that'll do it. So the Rangers can't do anything with a 2-out walk. They strand a runner. We're going to the 2nd. It's the White Sox 2, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. White Sox leading 2-0. We get set to head to the top of the second. Let's welcome in Jim Knox. Jim?
I appreciate it, Buzz. Great crowd on hand, including a big group of nurses here in the stands having a good time tonight watching Yu Darvish and the Rangers. Community Corner this evening. Great event happened on Sunday. Rangers alumni, as well as Baseball Fantasy Camp, held a very special clinic for the Miracle League DFW. Great group. What they received, the participants, were jerseys, autographs, and instruction from Rangers alumni. To find out more about this great partnership, log on to TexasRangers.com/foundation. Buzz?
All right, Jim, thank you. Yeah, that's one of the great works that the Rangers Baseball Foundation does. And dedicating a new ballpark tomorrow, as a matter of fact, up in South Lake, Miracle League Park. Here's a slow hook that drops in and over to Hector Jimenez, and the count is no balls and 2 strikes. Jimenez, the number 8 hitter in the order tonight for the White Sox, leading off here in the second. White Sox sent 7 men to the plate, scored 2 of them in the first inning. Darvish with the 0-2, got him swinging. Strikeout number 3 for Yu Darvish. 1 away for Dwayne Wise.
And all the strikeouts have come on breaking balls of various sorts. That's the same pitch that struck out Adam Dunn. Sharp downward breaking curveball. Looked like a good idea to swing at it partway to the plate. Turned out not to be so good an idea. Ramirez looked like struck out on a slider. A lot of times when Yu doesn't feel that he has his best fastball, he'll go to his breaking balls.
And there's one that just floats inside to Dwayne Wise. Wise originally was not in the starting lineup. Jordan Danks was, and Danks came up with some swelling behind his knee, and Robin Ventura made the switch to Dwayne Wise. Pitch high and away. Wise, as you saw, hitting just .091. 2 balls, no strikes, the count. And there's a slow hook that is in and over. Rob Morris, our statistician, and I passed me a note that Darvish allowing 4 hits in the first inning. That's more than any of these last 3 starts. It was kind of forgettable for Yu Darvish, but he's making adjustments here as he usually does. Up the middle, that's into center field, softly hit. But Dwayne Wise has a 1-out single, and with good speed, he is aboard for the top of the order.
Well, Wise was 2 for 22 before that at bat. He got a slider that stayed up, trying to bury this down and in, and a curveball right down the middle of the plate. Not where Yu was trying to throw that.
Well, that is the 5th hit given up by Yu Darvish through the first 9 hitters that he faced here tonight. 1 on, 1 out. Alejandro De Aza, the leadoff man, is up there. De Aza flied to right field. So Wise at first. Good speed here at the top of the order for the White Sox. Errol Boston handling the first base coaching chores. Darvish okays the sign, a check of first base, and the fastball is outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Guys, with that 5-game hitting streak going, he has had exactly 1 hit in each of the 5 games. The 1-0 pitch on the way to him. Tried a backdoor hook, and Darvish now falling behind to De Aza. 2 balls, no strikes. And as Tom told you, this is a White Sox team that doesn't walk all that much. With the exception of Dunn, they don't have a whole lot of guys on this club that are willing to take walks. Outside, 3 balls and no strikes. Darvish getting himself in a bit of a pickle here behind De Aza. Tyler Green, the second baseman, waiting in that on-deck circle, as you see. Wise the runner at first. 3-0 pitch. That's outside, ball 4. 2 on with 1 out, and Tyler Green coming up. And again, Mike Maddox out to the mound.
Well, last game against Anaheim, we talked about the kind of stuff that you had in that game. That was as good as any game that he's had as a Ranger. So far today, he's trying to find it. Not really the same type command that we would be accustomed to. Hung a couple of breaking balls, trying to battle through it, hold him right there at 2 runs. See if the Ranger offense can come back and score for him. But
Now,
I guess, Buzz, when you don't have your best stuff, that's when you got to do a little extra pitching, don't you?
Yeah, you have to, and you also have to figure out how you're going to pitch. I mean, it's, with you, Darvish, good news is he has a lot to work with as far as the types of pitches. Bad news is there is nothing that says it's my go-to when I'm struggling. Breaking ball, waved at and missed by Tyler Green. Most guys, say you have 2 basic pitches, fastball, breaking ball. If one isn't working, you go to the other one. And that's all the thinking you have to do. And then if that doesn't work, you go take a shower. But in Darvish's case, he's got 4 or 5 different weapons that he can pick from on any given night. So it's plan A, B, C, D, and E. Fastball is just a little bit outside, 1-1. And that last start we were talking about against Seattle, in Seattle, back on the 12th of April, he gave up 3 runs in 6 innings. He gave up 3 in the first inning. And he was lamenting the fact that he didn't make the adjustments that we're talking about quickly enough before he gave up the 3. Well, here he's trying in the first inning tonight to make adjustments. And he will probably tell you that he didn't particularly care for the adjustments he's made early in this game. Now, hopefully, it'll turn out like it did against Seattle, in that he's able to shut down the White Sox here tonight after this inning. Or from this inning on, I should say. 1-1, the count to Tyler Green. And that high tight fastball spins him out of the way.
That ball missed him. That ball looked like it took a right turn about 5 feet from the plate, came right at him. He still ducked out of the way. What a movement on that thing, up and in. He might have heard that ball go by him.
2-1 pitch. Popped up. Ian Kinsler backpedaling. The infield fly rule is put into effect. And the ball comes down, and Tyler Green is out. There are 2 gone. And Alex Rios now will come up.
That was his 40th pitch, so he's had to work in these first 2 innings for sure. Trying to get out of this inning. It's going to be over 40 pitches. And probably the best hitter in the White Sox lineup, Alex Rios, is the hitter right now. Rios in 2011 hit .227. Last year he hit .304. Went from 13 home runs to 25 home runs. In 2011, he just had a miserable year. Last year was a great year for him. Knocked in 91 runs, stole 23 bases. Good outfielder. He plays center field.
He's 1 for 1 here tonight with an RBI. Had a single and drove in the first run of the night for the White Sox. Also came around to score. But you can see, as of late, not been swinging the bat all that well. And it certainly changed here in the first inning. 1-0 pitch. Plays off the high breaking ball, and it's 2-0. Looks like Darvish is just getting down underneath the ball a little bit. The fastball staying up high sometimes. The breaking ball kind of flattening out on him. Needs to get back working downhill toward home plate. Here's a good one. 2-1. And that's something that Mike Maddox would take out there and suggest to Darvish. It's an adjustment that almost every pitcher has to make from time to time. They talk about throwing on that downhill plane from the pitching mound down to home plate. Now the 2-1 pitch. Out to shortstop. And the underhand flip to Kinsler by Elvis. That'll do it. So Darvish gets the 2 outs he needed. Stranded 2. The White Sox leave a couple on. Bottom of the second coming up. White Sox 2-0 over the Rangers.
last day of April. So Nelson Cruz gives us this assessment of the month.
I guess 25 games also can put it on as a number. So far, I think we do a really good job. The whole thing together as a team, we put really good numbers, offensively, defensively, and the team's also now completely. The pitchers and W's. That's you're looking for W's. So I think so far we're doing so good.
And Nelson acknowledges the offense scuffling of late, but they are piling up the wins, which is what matters. That 3.02 team ERA definitely helps things, guys.
Thanks, Em. Yeah, that's a nice thing to have. Cruz slices a fly ball to right center field. That will work its way back over toward Alex Rios, and he puts it away. That is out number 1. And Jeff Baker coming up. Now here's tonight's AT&T Twitter poll. Now it's time to go to the monthly honors, and the question tonight: who is the Rangers Player of the Month for April, in your opinion? If you think it was Nelson Cruz, go hashtag FSN or FS Nelson Cruz. You Darvish, hashtag FS You Darvish, and Ian Kinsler the same. Go to Twitter, pick your answer. We'll give you the results a little bit later on. Jeff Baker batting in the number 6 hole. He is in there tonight in place of David Murphy, who's been off to a slow start. And Baker back from that knee injury that he suffered a week ago now in Anaheim. A week ago tonight, as a matter of fact.
After the first 2 games in Minnesota, the Rangers only scored 2 runs in the last 2 games, and both of them came on the ball that Aaron Hicks misjudged in center field in the 9th inning of the ball game.
It's going to be a broken bat that will make Jeff Baker go back and get some new lumber. Souvenir Rangers for the man in the first row right there.
Still trying to get to the point where they can string together some hits and then get the big hit with men on base. Minnesota was tough to come up with that big hit with men on base. They got a bunch of them in the 9-run inning in Anaheim, but not a lot of hits since then that could break a game open.
Jeff Baker's been doing some damage when he's been able to get in there. Takes inside. That moves the count to 2-2 now. You're talking about not getting that big hit, Tom. The trip, for the whole trip, the Rangers hit just 194 with runners in scoring position, and that's including that big inning we were
probably
talking about.
five of the hits came in that one inning.
Right. Here's a ground ball base hit to the right side. Good job of hitting there by Jeff Baker, just taking that pitch out away from him and slapping it through the hole. Well, the first Ranger hit of the night comes with 1 out here in the 2nd inning. Baker at first, Giovanni Soto coming up.
Well, I got a second. Got a couple of birthdays to get to. You take a look at the outside pitch and going the other way by Jeff Baker. Willie Merle Wade of Longview is 81 years old today. She currently lives at the Juliet Fowler Pearl Norden Care Center in Dallas. All the residents there love to watch Ranger games, and I hope they're all wishing you a happy birthday tonight, Willie Merle. I know we do. 81 years old today.
It's out of play to the right off the bat of Giovanni Soto.
Also, Marie Davis had a birthday. She's 89 years old. Might be a little bit late from that. She's from Searcy, Arkansas. Loves watching her great nephew Craig Gentry play. Only watches baseball during the baseball season to watch Craig play. Hopefully Craig will have a big day tonight. Happy birthday, Marie. 89 years old.
And that changeup floats in a little bit low. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
I like this birthday wish, Buzz.
Okay.
2 sisters from Horton, Texas. Both of them born today. Not today, but on this date. Bonnie Henry is 88 and Billy Ailes is 86.
Wow.
From Horton, Texas.
Sisters born exactly 2 years apart.
Yeah, happy birthday, ladies. Hope you enjoy the game.
Hot shot, flag down by Ramirez. Backhands it to second, on by Green to first. A double play. Whoa, what a play by Alexei Ramirez. And that'll do it for the Rangers. No runs a hit. The double play turned takes them out of the inning. 2-0 White Sox on Fox Sports Southwest.
leading the Rangers 2-0. Buzz and Tom, believe it or not, All-Star balloting is out here at the ballpark. Ranger fans are voting right now. You can also go online at TexasRangers.com. Vote Rangers. Look at this, a little Rusty Greer look-alike right here. Who are you voting for, big guy?
All Rangers.
All Rangers. All right, let's stuff the ballot right here. All Rangers. There you go, guys. And get them in the All-Star game. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Buzz.
All right, Jim, thank you. Yeah, up to 25 ballots is legal now. This is not one of those voter fraud deals. This is 25 legal ballots. Go to TexasRangers.com, and when you're out here, stuff the ballot boxes all you want to. Adam Dunn takes outside. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. 9 Rangers on the All-Star ballot this year. We'll vote them all in. Dunn a strikeout his first time to the plate. Rip and a miss, and it's 1-2.
Here's something else to look at. Looked like a changeup. Maybe a splitter. 86 miles an hour, tailing down and away. Pretty good changeup.
The 1-2 pitch. Got him on the fist.
We're talking about the year that Alexi Rios had. I'll finish that in just a second.
Ford leaderboard for you tonight, and it's career home runs, active players. Alex Rodriguez, well, not active at the moment, but he will be active again. Pujols, Giambi, Canerco is down there in 4th, and Adam Dunn is 5th.
Talking about Alex Rios and how he improved from 227 to 304. Adam Dunn the last 2 years has hit 159 and 204. It's tough to hit 204 and improve by 45 points. He also went from 11 home runs to 40. He hit 204, but he hit 41 home runs last year.
Got him swinging. 65-mile-an-hour hook. And we'll see you later. Adam Dunn is the 4th strikeout tonight for Yu Darvish.
And the first time up, he saw the hard curveball. That time he saw the soft one.
It's time for a Mazda game break. Let's go to Dana Larson. Dana? All right, Dana, thank you. Paul Canerco, who had a little blooped RBI single to right field his first time up. Steps in for Canerco, his 15th RBI of the season. Facing Yu Darvish here in the 3rd with the bases empty and 1 out. Rip and a miss, pretty good sinking fastball. It's 0-1. One more note on that first inning for Darvish tonight, the 4 base hits. That tied the career high for Yu Darvish for hits in an inning. And the only other time that happened for Yu Darvish was his first outing against the Seattle Mariners last year here in April. His major league debut, and he gave up 4 hits in the first inning.
How about that combination? 91-mile-an-hour sinker that looked like a left-handed slider, and then 95 miles an hour 4-seam fastball right on the outside corner.
And that's the first one we've seen him heat up there at that level tonight, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, it might have been 1 or 2 early, but most of them have been probably in the 90-92 range.
He's gotten out in front of the count. No balls and 2 strikes to Canerco. Canerco saying something to Giovanni Soto.
You know, you hear people talk, Buzz, about pitching to contact. I like what Darvish said the other day. If I get 2 strikes on the hitter, I'm trying to strike him out, period. And that's what a lot of pitchers are trying to do.
Well,
some of them won't say it, but why wouldn't you?
Well, and most of them can't get to 2 strikes consistently enough to feel that way. But that's
I would too.
You'd be crazy if you didn't feel that way.
If you strike them out, there's no chance they're going to get on base.
Very true.
I guess unless the catcher misses the ball, but every time they put a ball in play, you risk something bad happening.
That's out of play to the right. 96 on that fastball. So the second time through the order, might be tuning it up just a little bit more. Soto out there to say something to Darvish and see if he can't get him to smile just a little bit. Now, and we talk about guys having the killer instinct and putting people away. And closing things out. That's exactly what it is. Somebody that feels like that, a pitcher that gets out there. And yeah, you don't try for strikeouts all the time, but when you get somebody down 2 strikes, step on it, put them away. Don't let them up for air. Like that. Of course, it's nice if you have 6 different pitches you can choose from.
That's the stuff we saw in Anaheim.
Yeah.
96-mile-an-hour fastball and that nasty slider. Probably the best slider he's thrown so far. That's a pretty good hitter right there that really didn't have much of a chance on that pitch. Join the crowd.
So back-to-back strikeouts, 5 in the game now for Darvish. 2 outs here in the third. Connor Gillespie, who doubled to right field his first time up, steps in. That was kind of a defensive should I or shouldn't I, and you can't think. You got to see the ball and swing it. A little late by the time you think about it. Gillespie a 322 after that first inning double. He has done a very good job for the White Sox. Darvish ready, back to the plate he comes. 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Derek Lowe on the quote board talking about Pedro Martinez. When Pedro pitched, you had the sense something magical could happen. It's that way with you. Yeah, and that's exactly right. Pedro might be the only other right-hander that I can think of that had the same kind of movement both ways that Yu Darvish is able to impart on the baseball. 0-2 pitch. Almost got the third strikeout of the inning. I don't know how Gillespie got this.
And the only way he got it is it was high enough for him to get on top and just touch the ball. If that ball bounced on home plate, he would have swung at it anyway.
Well, it's still 0-2, and you can hear the chorus of U's going out in the crowd here at Rangers Ballpark. Got him swinging. 3 strikeouts in the inning. In order. Gone are the White Sox. We played 2.5. Rangers trailing the White Sox by 2. Fox Sports Southwest. Brought to you by Ford. Take the EcoBoost Challenge at your Texas Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Jack in the Box, where the Chipotle Chicken Club combo is back. And I think it's safe to say that one of the men that those folks came out to see, Yu Darvish, is back after a very impressive strikeout the side by Darvish. Now the Rangers come to bat in the bottom of the third inning, still trailing by 2, and Mitch Moreland takes strike 1. Moreland, Gentry, and Kinsler, the first 3 to face Jose Quintana, who's allowed 1 hit and 1 walk through the first couple of frames. Inside corner. It is 0-2. Oh, a beautiful night here on a Tuesday in late April, last day of April, as a matter of fact. Crowd looks to be approaching 40,000, in the upper 30s anyway here tonight. Great Tuesday night crowd. The 0-2. Up the middle, base hit for Rich. Good job against the left-hander Quintana, and Mitch Moreland finding a stroke against southpaws and against everybody.
Now watch, if we can go back and watch this one, he's got Mitch 0-2, and the catcher wants this ball out of the strike zone and up. Watch his glove. He wants it up there, try to get him to swing and miss. Instead, he throws it right on the inside part of the plate, down the middle of the plate, and Mitch lines it up the middle for a base hit. So that's just an example of a pitcher not hitting his spot and the hitter taking advantage of it.
And that would
Did you ever miss your spot, Buzz, in a game?
I probably missed it more than I hit it.
Yeah, but you were throwing 100 miles an hour. It didn't matter.
No. If I ever threw 100 miles an hour, I would have had to quit right on the spot. It's Craig Gentry who takes a strike. It is 0-1. I used to tell my teammates especially, I throw it just as hard as no one. It just doesn't get there as fast.
Go as fast.
No. It takes a little longer to get there, but I'm working as hard.
Throwing it just as hard.
Gentry hitting at 220. Moreland the lead from first. And Craig takes the breaking ball a bit low. 1 ball and 1 strike.
I'm sure Marie Davis right now is watching this game in Searcy, Arkansas, hoping that her great nephew gets a base hit on her birthday.
Yep. It'd be a great birthday present. Quintana, a check of first, the 1-1 pitch. Out of play to the right. It's a ball and 2 strikes.
Rangers had a great baseball fan in Farrah Buckman. Recently, she passed away at age 90, and her family is gathered today. They're all dressed in Ranger gear, watching the ball game to celebrate her life. So I hope you have a great time tonight. Hope the Rangers make a comeback so that you can remember Farrah Buckman as a great Ranger fan. Win or lose, I know you'll feel that way.
In the dirt, it's 2-2. Craig had a little problem on the road trip. He started 4 of the 7 games, but had only 2 hits. Ran into a buzzsaw, it seemed like, every time that he got to the plate. There a lot of good pitches made on it. Pitch is 133. Chopper to third. Tough hop. It's going to be only play to first, and just getting Gentry by a step. Gillespie able to get the sure out. On to second goes Moreland. He's there with 1 out for Ian Kinsler.
That's not a simple hop. He felt his best shot was to go to first base. Probably made the right call, too. One thing for sure, if he goes to second, there's no way they're going to be able to come back to first to get Gentry.
And I don't think they would have gotten Moreland.
It didn't look like it. He got down there quick. I agree.
Mitch got off that. Got a pretty good start going to second. So he's in scoring position. First time tonight the Rangers have had anybody at second base. And Ian Kinsler at the plate, 0 for 1 as he grounded a short, leading things off tonight. Ian at 309 currently. 5-game hitting streak coming into play tonight. And he takes the breaky ball low and inside for ball 1. Kinsler with 10 hits on the just completed road trip. Hit 333. You know Ian's history is loved hitting in this ballpark more so than any place else. Out of play to the right. 1 ball, 1 strike. There's that 5-game hitting streak we're talking about. 429 the average. Quintana okays the sign from Jimenez. A check of second. Another look back there. And now the 1-1. Out of play. 1-2. You know, Tom, what you had said too about Ian's stroke being a little bit shorter, I think you're right. And I think that his ability to hit the ball to right and right center have been a product of shortening that stroke up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Not a lot of wasted movement in Ian's swing. Not many guys hit from a virtual stop like he does. Most guys either cock their bat, moves his feet a little bit to kind of get in position. You have to do something, but everybody's different. The trigger they use to get their bat started. Most hitters end up in the same spot right before they swing.
And Kinsler down on strikes. Good breaking ball down and in. Quintana gets his first strikeout of the night. Kinsler retired. Now Elvis Andrus coming up. The Lows never stop improving. Elvis Andrus. 7-game hitting streak. 344 the average during this current streak. 194 in the previous game. Never stop improving is brought to you by Lowe's. So Elvis will step in. 2 outs. Moreland at second base. Rangers trailing 2-0. Andrus a fly ball to center, his first time up. And that pitch tails off the outside corner. 1 ball, no strikes. Elvis has been in a little bit of a funk despite the 7-game hitting streak. He's 0 for his last 11 with runners in scoring position. And his plight is kind of mirroring the ball club's plight. High and away. We mentioned the ball club hit under 200 on the last road trip. 194 to be exact in those situations. Now Jimenez is going to go out and talk to Quintana, who has fallen behind 2-0 to Elvis Andrus. Alexei Ramirez listen in on the conversation. Two balls, no strikes. Chuck Morgan trying to get this crowd going a little bit here. It's hadn't been a whole lot to cheer about the first 2 innings plus, but Chuck is always doing a great job of getting the fans motivated here in this 3rd inning. Chopper foul. The count is 2-1 now. Elvis doing a little thinking as he steps back into that box. Still ahead in the count. Quintana, the left-hander, has the sign he wants. He will check Mitch Moreland at second base. There's that good breaking ball. It is 2-2 now.
Quintana has a good assortment of pitches. There's his breaking ball. Look, a curveball down and in. Has a good changeup. Sneaky fastball with the off-speed pitches. 89, 92-ish, right around in there.
He nods in agreement. Dan comes set. Quintana a check of second. And Elvis spoiling a pitch down and in. We'll try it again at 2-2. Remember the first time up, Elvis went to a 3-2 count. Fouled off a pitch or two before flying out. He's made this a fairly long at bat. Rangers have worked Quintana pretty well. 53 pitches coming up. And that's for having shut out baseball for the first 8 outs. And the next pitch instead is a little bluff move back to second. Moreland began the inning by singling to center. Went to second on a ground ball by Craig Gentry. And Ian Kinsler struck out. Now Elvis trying to pick him up. with a 2-out hit. And again, Elvis spoils one. Two balls and 2 strikes. Elvis waiting, wagging that bat back and forth. Moreland the lead from second, and Quintana. A couple of checks there. And the pitch is blown outside, 3-2.
That was close. A tough pitch to take right there.
And Jimenez was going back to the dugout when he caught that ball.
Elvis had seen a bunch of off-speed pitches. And I think the fastball fooled him a little bit.
Yep.
It was borderline, but could have been called a strike.
So the count is full. 2 outs here in the 3rd inning. And another foul ball.
Hey, nice play. Wasn't sure if he had it, but he caught it in the blanket.
Yeah, it's Coca-Cola picnic blanket night. There you go.
Nice play. Got a look of surprise on his face, but he's got the ball. And he made it on TV. So did his friends. All right, nice going.
Quintana again with a payoff pitch. Elvis a fly ball to left field. Backing up is De Aza. He has room in front of the track, puts it away, and that'll do it. The Rangers get a leadoff hit, but stranded hits Moreland. We're going to the 4th inning. The White Sox 2, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest.
Trail the White Sox 2-0. Buzz and Tom, quick reminder, tomorrow's Dollar Hot Dog Night. So tomorrow night, come to the ballpark, Dollar Hot Dog. Not tonight, tomorrow night. That is the place. William, you ready for tomorrow night?
Yes, sir, I am.
There you go. Take this away. There you go, big guy. Have fun tomorrow night. We'll see you then. Appreciate it.
Thought maybe Noxie was going to go to work, sell some of that hot dogs.
He's in good shape. He could carry that thing all night long, boy.
Speaking of good shape, now about you, Darvish, last inning now coming out here to this inning and picks up right where he left off.
Starting to locate that slider a little bit right now.
He sure is. Alexei Ramirez, the first hitter to have to deal with that. Last inning was Dunn, Konerko, and Gillespie that all went down swinging at you, Darvish. 3 straight strikeouts. Darvish now with 6 this evening. That fastball up there fouled away. And it's very quickly, no balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, here's where, unless he makes a mistake, here's where you're in trouble. 0-2, seeing a slider and a fastball up. You're just saying, boy, I hope I can make some contact right here.
Yeah, and you can do whatever you want to if you're Yu Darvish. If you make a good pitch. I mean,
you make a good pitch.
You haven't knocked any options off. Well, the slider outside. Ramirez, to his credit, able to lay off it. It's 1-2.
Get a little bit closer and he might not lay off it.
To right field, that is playable for Nelly Cruz, who started and now has to retreat a bit, puts it away. That is out number 1. And let's go down to Emily Jones again, Em.
Hey guys, a quick update on a couple of arms. Colby Lewis and Martin Perez set to make their final extended spring training appearances this week. After that, they'll begin rehab assignments. Now, Perez is just a little bit ahead of Colby, but we're looking at the 30-day range for both of those guys being back in the big leagues. So Ron Washington obviously will have some decisions to make, as will John Daniels, guys.
All right, Emily, thank you. Yeah, those are the nice choices to have to make.
Well, the good thing that's happened that's made it tough is the way, number one, Nick Tepesh has pitched.
Right.
Nick made the team out of spring training, throwing the ball exceptionally well. And lately, Justin Grimm.
Yeah.
Both those kids are throwing the ball great. So in the meantime, until everybody's back and the team's at 100% in the pitching department, it's in good hands right now with the young starters. They're getting it done.
Hector Jimenez, the 0-2 pitch, or 2-0 pitch, I should say, is outside. It's 3 balls and no strikes. Jimenez struck out the first time that he faced Darvish, and he is threatening to get a board here. He's way up on the count. Darvish has walked 1 tonight, and now he's walked 2 as that pitch is high and away.
Well, Buzz, you've referred to some walks as good walks and some walks as bad walks. I'm thinking that one probably classifies as a bad one.
That's a bad walk. Yeah, that's a bad walk. And it's probably one of those where when Darvish got behind 2-0, probably tried too hard to throw a strike and kind of squeezed the ball, made it 3-0, and then just lost him. You can see that Soto trying to calm Darvish down a little bit. I mean, he's visibly upset with himself. But
yeah, he doesn't show his emotion out there too much,
no.
But you can tell he's upset right now.
Had a little puff of disgust in himself. He'll get back up there and go right out. That's one thing that you have to admire, I think, about Yu Darvish. No matter what kind of stuff he takes out there, usually pretty good. But no matter what the stuff is, he always competes. He always figures out some way to pitch and beat most people with it. You know, rip and a miss by Dwayne Wise. Yeah, there's some nights, I'm sure, some guys will go out there and not have their good stuff, and you say, yeah, I'm in for it, you know, and just be out after about 30 or 40 pitches and no outs.
Start peeking toward the dugout.
Yeah.
Looking down to the bullpen.
Yeah.
Hoping you see someone working quick out there.
Please come get me. And that's not Yu Darvish. 1-1 the count to Wise. Dwayne Wise singled to center field with 1 out in the 2nd inning. Now he's hitting with Jimenez at first and 1 out here in the 4th. White Sox still leading 2-0. To left field, Baker coming on. He's not going to get there. That ball's going to fall for a base hit. So Baker, who was playing extremely deep in left field, had no chance to get that little flare. And 2 on with 1 out for the top of the order now for the White Sox. Alejandro De Aza coming up.
Not much he could do back there.
Nope. So a walk and a bloop single. De Aza 0 for 1 tonight. A fly ball to right and a walk his last time up. Darvish will check second. And the first pitch is outside for ball 1. Rangers on the infield playing a step or so around to the right side for the left-handed hitting De Aza. Outfield, as you can see, playing a couple of steps the other way. Yeah, there's a fly ball to left. This one, Jeff Baker has measured. That's out number 2. Now Tyler Green. So Darvish comes back to get the second out of the inning. Tyler Green tonight has tripled and scored. That was back in the first inning and popped out to second. First pitch from Darvish. Gets that slider in for strike 1. Tyler Green making his 6th start at second base for the White Sox. Called him up on the 14th of the month, so about half the month. White Sox have been hit by some significant injuries. Gordon Beckham, their normal second baseman, is on the disabled list. Diane Viciedo, their outfielders. Gavin Floyd's on the DL. John Danks on the DL. Pitch outside. 2-1 now the count. Wise at first. He trails Hector Jimenez. Darvish trying to get out of a little hot spot here in the 4th inning. Right-hander back to the plate. Got away with a hanger. 2-2. And the crowd again throwing up that chorus of "Use." White Sox, you can see, below 200 with the runners in scoring position. 2-2 pitch, got him swinging. Well, Darvish comes back, gets the big strikeout. White Sox strand runners at first and second on a hit and a walk. We're going to the bottom of the 4th. White Sox 2, Rangers nothing. Fox Sports Southwest. Right here on Fox Sports Southwest for Chevy Hometown Kids. It's not about the score, it's about the experience. And a lot of kids out here on this Tuesday evening, the last night of April. Rangers have some catching up to do. They trail 2-0. And we head to the bottom of inning number 4. It'll be Lance Berkman, Adrian Beltre, and Nelson Cruz to face Jose Quintana. Quintana, 56 pitches, 34 strikes tonight. Berkman drew a walk his first time up there, and he takes a little bit low and outside for ball 1.
Lance is just going to wait until he sees what he wants to swing at.
Well, that was one that he had in mind.
I guess he wanted to swing at that one.
I guess so. I think that might have been just a little bit higher than what he had in mind. A ball and a strike. And it's low and outside. But, you know, Lance has always been a high ball hitter, especially from the right side. I think that might have gone to his head a little bit. A high ball hitter, but not that high. Let's see where that number 2 pitch was up there. You get a step ladder, you get on top of that. Now the 2-1 from Quintana. Hard hit one hopper right to the third baseman Gillespie. That is out number 1.
Third baseman Adrian Beltre.
Now Adrian Beltre will come up. Beltre grounded out to the right side back in the first inning. Rangers working on a scoreless streak now of 13 innings. Shut out the last day in Minnesota, and 2 they scored the day before were in that 9th inning on a misjudged fly ball.
Yeah, if that ball's caught, they get shut out 2 days in a row in Minnesota.
You're right. 1-0 pitch. And it's 2-0.
Someone's going to hit a home run in a second.
Yeah, you get that feeling, don't you?
I just got a feeling maybe that'll open up the floodgates.
Yeah, Adrian's about due. Why not him? 3 balls and no strikes.
Quintana gave up a home run to the first hitter he saw this year. Hasn't given up one since. So he's due to give one up. I'd like to see him walk somebody first so that the home run is not a solo shot.
It's on the inside corner. It's 3-1. Now he's got a chance to walk Beltre. Adrian hitting in the number 4 slot to be followed by Nelson Cruz, who's also a candidate for that home run. Got him on the fists. And a ground ball to third. Gillespie across the diamond. So pretty good job by Quintana to come back with 3-0 count. Gets Beltre to ground out. 2 away for Nelson Cruz. You know, we talked the last 2 of the last 3 days in Minnesota, Tom, about the left-handers that have been given the Rangers problems going back to last year and this year. Guys like Quintana. And Quintana throws a little bit better, I think, than some of the left-handers we're talking about. But still, the idea of a pretty good fastball, one that can cut in on right-handers, and the changeup combination. He's got a breaking ball to go along with it.
Yeah, that combination, we've seen a lot of them. Rangers have faced a lot of left-hand pitchers in the last 10 days.
Seems like more and more left-handers you're seeing more of that type rather than a hard-throwing left-hander whose ball moves all over the place. 2-0 pitch is low and inside. It's 3-0.
When David Murphy and AJ Pierzynski are in the lineup, there's several left-hand hitters in the lineup at the bottom of the lineup hitting bunched together. But, you know, they're all guys that can hit left-handed pitching.
Three and 1 now to Nelly. Cruz trying to get aboard to extend the inning. Here's AJ. Jeff Baker will be next. Cruz, a drive to left field. Back is De Aza at the wall. Goodbye. Well, there's your home run. We just didn't have the walk.
Oh, it was 3-0. I was rooting for the walk and just had a little feeling someone was going to. That's not a call. A call, you got to be more specific.
Okay.
But that was just kind of a feeling. And now let's see if it does open up the floodgates.
2-1 in favor of the White Sox. Nelly Cruz with home run number 6.
Well, there's a pitcher. You're ahead in the count looking for a fastball, and you get one right down the middle of the plate. And with Nelly Cruz, you do that to him.
Now Jeff Baker at the plate, and he bounds one to center field. Way back. Wise is watching this one. Goodbye. Back-to-back pitches. Back-to-back long balls. tied at 2.
He teed off on that fastball. I think first time through the lineup, Quintana started a lot of the hitters off with fastballs, got strike 1. That time up, Jeff went up there looking for the first pitch fastball, and he greeted him with one right down the middle of the plate. Same exact pitch Nelly hit out of the ballpark, and no one moved on this one. That was halfway up the hill.
Well, I don't know if that qualifies for a floodgate or not, but I'll take it.
Yeah, probably not the floodgates, but it's definitely a lot more than we've seen the last couple of games, so we definitely will take it.
Check swing by Giovanni Soto. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Not much doubt down there what was happening. Soto fouls it off, and it's 1-2. So Baker and Cruz going back-to-back. Jeff Baker, his 2nd home run of the year. And as we mentioned, Nelly Cruz, his 6th. Rangers now with 29 home runs as a team. The 1-2 pitch coming to Soto. Got him swinging. Foul tipped, held onto by Jimenez. That'll do it, but the Rangers drop some thunder on the White Sox. 2 runs on 2 long balls. Cruz and Baker do the works. 2-2 as we head to the 5th inning on Fox Sports Southwest.
At 2, and Buzz and Tom, we have a bunch of big groups here at the ballpark tonight. One of them, New Tech Capel. Hannah, what's this all about?
So we're the leadership organization at Student Council at New Tech Capel, and basically we try and unify the student body and better our campus and community throughout different activities. And we're out here tonight to help support the Rangers.
There we go. All right, Woo! Go Rangers. There we go. It's like a student body president you ought to run for here, Buzz.
Sign on as a campaign manager, Knoxon. All right. 2-2 ball game. Everything is brand new up here, and we also have a brand new face and voice in our booth. That would be Mark McLemore, who always joins us in the 5th inning. Mac, you show up, lightning hits out there, a couple of long balls. Where were you the first 3 or 4 innings?
Well, I was waiting for the right time.
Oh,
Come
okay.
on now.
All right.
I don't want to do it all in 1 inning.
Of course, you see in here Mac on the pre- and post-game show, Rangers Live.
Mac, we've been gone about 13 out of 16 days. Have you missed us?
I have absolutely missed you guys. Man, I almost forgot what you guys look like.
I figured you couldn't wait to get back.
You guys had some pretty good weather on the road, huh?
We got lucky in Minnesota.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Man.
did.
Yes, what they've had up there most of the season, most of April, we really got lucky.
Tell you how bad it had been. We had people wanting us to stay up there after the end of the series. Just stay here with the weather. They thanked us for bringing it. They had what did they say, 4 inches of snow, I think, on Monday. We got there on Thursday. Snow hadn't melted yet. Wave and a miss. And Yu Darvish back at it. Punch out number 8.
Well, Mac, what are you looking for after your team comes back and scores 2 runs? Is this kind of what you want to see your pitcher do when he comes back out there?
For that first one, the second one, hopefully, and the third one. This is exactly what you want. Got to throw up a goose egg here.
You know, that's 5 strikeouts now out of the last 9 hitters that Darvish faced. He has 8 this evening. For a guy that gave up 4 hits and 2 runs in the first inning and looked like he was really struggling at times, he kind of flips the switch and he comes back out a little different animal.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, he just looked like he didn't have it early on, wasn't in sync with Soto, and all of a sudden, there's the light switch. And he looks even sharper now that the Rangers have come back and tied things.
Yeah. The breaking ball is inside. It's 2-0 to Adam Dunn. But how many times, as a player, Mac, did you guys sit on the bench and say, okay, this is a tough pitcher against us. I don't care what he looked like. If we don't get him early, we're going to have trouble if he settles in.
A lot.
Yeah.
An awful lot. You definitely want to get, those upper echelon pitchers, you want to get to them as early as possible, get them out of there. You don't want to face them 3-4 times a game. If you do, the game's probably not going to be in your favor if you're seeing them out there, the 6th inning and beyond.
Dunn tonight has punched out twice, both times swinging. 2-1 the count. The big slugging first baseman tonight. DH probably tomorrow night. Good backdoor hook. It's 2-2.
Buzz, what you thinking when you saw a guy, Frank Howard? When Frank Howard got in the box, what'd you think?
So that's a big man, is what I thought.
That's exactly what Dunn is right there.
Yeah.
That is a large human.
He covers up the entire batter's box.
What Buzz was really thinking was, I hope he doesn't hit a line drive back at me.
I was yelling at our third baseman, hey, he's getting changeups inside. So be alert. 2-2 pitch. Just a bit low. It's 3-2. Well, that's the one thing you didn't want him to do is extend his arms. The guy that big. And Dunn's the same kind of hitter. A little more patient than Frank was. But those are large people.
He went to UT to play quarterback. That's one big quarterback. Boy.
Yeah, it sure is. Darvish with a payoff pitch. Up the middle, but that's right where the shortstop Elvis Andrews is positioned. That's out number 2. Now Darvish will face Paul Konerko. Konerko, little flare RBI single back in the first. He struck out in the 3rd inning against Darvish.
The White Sox had left 6 men on base, had a lot of base runners early in the game. At the end of 4 innings, Darvish and Quintana each had thrown about the same amount of pitches. Quintana's thrown a lot of pitches. There we go.
That'll keep the pitch count down a bit. Konerko out on 1 pitch, and Darvish a 1-2-3 innings, retired 7 straight. We will head on to inning number 6. Rangers 2, White Sox 2. Fox Sports Southwest. of Texas-sized jackpots. It's Texas' original jackpot game, available at your favorite lottery retailer. Mitch Moreland starting things off here in the Ranger 5th inning. Mitch 1 for 1. He started off the 3rd with a single. Rangers, though, stranded him. And then in the 4th, back-to-back home runs with 2 outs by Nelson Cruz. And Jeff Baker got the Rangers even with the White Sox. So Mitch now hitting in an even 250. 1 ball, 1 strike. Moreland, a 5-game hitting streak. He caught fire on the road trip. And didn't matter, left-handers, right-handers, he was hitting all of them. And that's really what the Rangers were waiting to have happen down at the bottom of the order. Check swing.
It's really good that he's hitting left-handers. You're right. That's exactly what they were waiting for. Just trying to find out, hey, can he really hit left-handed pitching? You know, he doesn't necessarily have to hit them out of the ballpark. He's just got to hit them. Right. He can't be that free out or that guy that's going to, platoon with somebody. They want Mitch Moreland to play first base every day.
There's a strike that evens things out at 2-2. Yeah, that was something that I think David Murphy proved last year when he had the chance to play the last half of the season against everybody, that he can handle left-handers and be a complement in the outfield. And now he's off to a slow start, but he's playing every day in the outfield for the most part. Moreland going the other way, and he is 2 out of 2.
That's kind of what you're talking about, Matt.
That's
Don't
it
have
right
to hit
there.
the ball out of the ballpark.
Get on base, start some things.
And it's time for a Mazda game break. Here's Dana Larson. Dana?
Center fielder, Craig Jeffrey.
All right, Dana, thank you. The Astros won last night big, 9-1, I believe it was, in Yankee Stadium, much to the chagrin of the New Yorkers. Here's Craig Gentry, who grounded out to 3rd his first time, and check swing. It's a strike anyway. Gentry didn't think so.
How about the loss the Angels had last night?
Oh, man.
Wow.
19 innings.
That was a tough one. 7-2
plus.
late in the game. Ooh.
Yeah, 7-2 going into the 8th inning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That can't be good.
No. No. Murphy's Law alive and well out in Oakland as far as the Angels are concerned. That's inside. 1-1 to Craig Gentry. That was a night, too. They'd gotten Albert Pujols back on track a little bit, had a couple of home runs in the game. And to let all that slide by the wayside is not good.
They've got to be ready to have a meeting or two here pretty soon.
They had one while the Rangers were out there, from what I understand, and kind of vented a little bit. Apparently it didn't quite vent enough. They really struggled. Well, they lost 3 out of 4 to Seattle after the Rangers played them. Rangers won 2 out of 3, then Seattle won 3 out of 4. In the ball game last night in Oakland. Double play ground ball to short. To second. A high throw is over everything and into the Ranger dugout. So Gentry will be down to second with 1 out.
Well, with a screen in front of the dugout, it's tough to throw one past the first baseman and let the guy get to second base nowadays, unless you throw it like that.
That's pretty rough. I remember back when we played, there were no barriers in front of the dugouts, and that used to, quite honestly, that used to scare me as a second baseman, because if you got by the first baseman, it's in the dugout, and that's an error. But now you've got to throw it like that to pretty much get an error.
You know, Buzz, the first time up, Craig hit a ground ball. Mitch got down there quickly, and they had to throw to first base. That time he got down there quickly again, and that's why the second baseman threw that ball into the dugout. So what looked like a double play now turns into you got your fastest runner at second base and 1 out. Worked out pretty well.
No, Tyler Green let one sail over Moreland's head. I was a little concerned for the folks 4 or 5 rows up on that one.
Mitch is not exactly a lightweight going into second base either.
I'm sure he knows that as well. He took a peek over there at first base and saw that big, thick fella down there.
Mac, did you have a number of different ways to turn a double play at second?
Absolutely.
How did you know how to use them, and When did you try to use him?
I would try to use him. The situation that I liked the least was runners at first and second, because the first baseman's not holding that runner on at first base.
Right.
So he's going to get there. That's the one I didn't like, and I would try to go to the back side of the bag or even to the left field side of the bag and let the bag kind of block me a little bit. That runner's going to have to hit that bag if he's going to get me. So, and you know, I was fortunate enough to play with shortstops and third basemen that had quick releases and strong arms, especially here. Dean Palmer, he was great.
Was he?
I had to tell him to ease up a little bit because he threw so hard. But yeah, he'd get rid of it and get it to me in a hurry, and that helps me get out of the way. But sometimes, you know, a slow hit ball, they'll decide to come to second base, and you know, sometimes you just have to stand in there and take it.
What runner, when you saw him on first base, did you go, uh-oh, I got to get rid of this quick? Did anyone stand out?
I did not like Bo Jackson at first base.
I don't blame you.
That was probably
Mitch's size and fast.
Exactly. So I did not like seeing him down there. I wanted a fly ball, a strikeout, or something. Definitely not a ground ball to the left side of the infield.
2-1 to Ian Kinsler. Down the line, fair ball. Gentry around third will score. Kinsler around first, headed to second, and he slams on the brakes. Now he's going for three. The throw from Diaz is not in time. The Rangers lead 3-2, and they have Kinsler at third with just one out.
That's a big extra base in that situation of one out. Big difference. Man on third and one out, man on second and one out. There's that aggressive base running. Put the pressure on the outfielder to make a good throw, and most of the times they don't.
You know, this play is made when Kins hits the ball because he's taking off and he's running hard. He didn't slow up. Even though the ball kicked in front of the outfielder, he just kept running. He didn't stop. Kept his eye on the ball the entire time, and he made it from home plate.
And that put him in position when Diaz made the mistake of overrunning it to take the extra base, huh? There's a base hit by Elvis. Kinsler will score. The Rangers lead 4-2. There's the big base hit for Elvis with runners in scoring position.
Now that's what I was talking about, the floodgates over there. Okay. Might not be a flood, but there's a good trickle coming through right now.
They're officially open.
Yeah, they're officially open.
Okay.
Mac, if you had played when we played against Kansas City, good job by Elvis. Steve can tell you about the one base runner you wouldn't want to see, and that was Hal McRae. You would not want to see him coming into second.
Not at all.
You see him flip a few guys, Buzz?
He took Willie Randolph almost out of Yankee Stadium. He almost took him off the dirt, and that's where that McRae rule came into play.
Oh, really? Sliding past the bag?
Yeah, in the playoffs in '76, he took Willie Randolph halfway from second out to the outfield grass.
So did Hal end up on the outfield grass?
Yeah, he was rolled up in him.
That's a good rule to come into effect after that.
Well, and that's what caused the rule to be made.
Wow.
No, the Rangers, according to Tom Grieve, had the floodgates open, and they have put 2 on the board in each of the last 2 innings, and they're looking for more with Lance Berkman up there. Berkman 0 for 1, a walk and a ground out.
You know, the guy that was probably right there with Hal and maybe 20 or 30 pounds heavier was Don Baylor.
Don Baylor. Yeah. I was just thinking of him. And Berkman slaps one through the hole. That's a base hit. Elvis stops at second. 3 consecutive hits, 4 hits in the inning. And the Rangers are giving it to Jose Quintana here in the 5th.
He was cruising along with a little 2-hitter going with 2 outs in the 4th inning and nobody on, but since that time, there's been 6 hits, and he's only gotten 2 outs.
So Don Cooper, the pitching coach, making a call down to the bullpen for the White Sox.
It's funny how you can go 2 games and score 2 runs and get shut out for 3 innings and not much going on, and bang, all of a sudden, here you go.
Adrian Beltre, a couple of groundouts tonight. And the changeup floats outside for ball 1. Matt Lindstrom, right-hander, starting to loosen quickly in the White Sox bullpen. Andrus at second, Berkman at first. One out, a couple of runs across for the Rangers. And Beltre pounds one off his front foot. We're going to have to come back and try that again as soon as Adrian is able to get the hurt out of there. See him kind of jabbing that foot into the ground, say, quit hurting.
That's not a good feeling.
Well, he's back in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Quintana okays the sign. The left-hander's ready. Beltre, a fly ball to left. Didn't quite get all that. De Aza makes the catch. Tagging at second and bluffing a move to third is Elvis. That is out number 2. And Nelson Cruz will come up. Looks like Beltre got that down toward the trademark just a little bit. Well, the last time up for Nelly Cruz, he didn't get one down toward the trademark. He got it right on the sweet spot. Mashed it out of here. The AT U-Burst Reverse Rewind from last inning. First of all, Nelly Cruz. Home run number 6. 1 pitch later. Home run number 2. Jeff Baker dead center. AT U-Burst Reverse Replay. Check swing. And the breaking ball settles off the plate inside. It's 1-0. Cruz now 20 RBI in the month of April. 6 home runs to go along with that. 313 is the average. 2-0. Elvis Andrus, after an RBI single, is at second. Lance Berkman with a base hit over at first. Quintana back to the plate. Boy, Nelly, that pitch had been out over the plate a little bit instead of inside. We might have had another home run. He was right on that timing-wise.
You know, Nelly really hasn't been missing his pitches lately. You know, that's the big difference. Early on, he might have been missing a few. But right now, when he gets his pitch, he's being patient, and when he gets it, he just doesn't miss it.
Nope. Those 2-3 3-run home runs in Anaheim, exactly what you're talking about, Matt. And they were the one pitch in those at bats he could get to. There's a chopper out to short, and going the short way to second. That will be the fourth play and the out. Rangers score 2. They take a 4-2 lead. Mark McLemore, thanks very much. We'll look forward to seeing you after the ball game. Rangers fire.
Right.
brought to you by the all-new Mazda 6. When you change everything, you change everything. The Rangers have done some changing around here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington tonight. Yu Darvish has made some adjustments, and the result is a change in the score of this ball game. White Sox have not scored since the first inning. The Rangers have scored 4 times, and they have a 4-2 lead. As Darvish starts off with a strike here in the top of the 6th inning. Connor Gillespie is the third baseman for the White Sox tonight. And he's down in the count, 0-1. Gillespie a double and a strikeout. Darvish 8 strikeouts through 5 innings. He's also issued a couple of walks. Misses high. 1-1 the count.
Well, you had over 40 pitches in the first 2 innings, so he has settled down pretty well with his pitch count. You know, if he can have a couple of fairly quick innings, got a chance to get through 7 innings and 110, 112 pitches.
That pitch low and inside. It's 2-1 now.
90 pitches right now. There's the 25 and 19, 44 pitches in the first 2 innings. And 43 pitches in the next 3 innings.
Behind Gillespie, 2 balls and a strike. And a good backdoor hook. 2-2. Darvish 2 runs and 4 hits in the first. He retired 12 the next 16. Quintana retired 10 of the first 13, and since then has given up 4 runs on 6 hits. So you've got starting pitchers headed in opposite directions. Darvish back to the plate. And the count has gone full now to Gillespie. He is leading off the 6th inning, hitting in front of the shortstop, Alexi Ramirez.
This is probably one of those games where you would say he didn't have the command of his fastball that he'd like to have, which, you know, would lead you to believe he's going to throw a breaking ball right here, because that might be what he's got the best chance to throw a strike with.
Right. Payoff pitch. Tried the back door and couldn't quite get it in there. It's a leadoff walk. 3rd walk of the game, and let's head over to Jim Knox again. Jim?
Oh, I appreciate it, Buzz. This was a scene earlier this evening. The Fox Sports Southwest Fan Express arrived from Texarkana, courtesy of Fox Sports Radio 1400. Fox Sports Southwest girls also on hand tonight. And here he is, the Italian Stallion. How's everything going? You got a great group on hand from Texarkana, Stallion.
Everybody loved the ride. I got Johnny Green, a White Sox fan from the Texarkana Gazette with us.
We don't care about that.
A touching story. Some of our fans, this young lady here, Rebecca Campbell and her mama, Dana Waters. It's her mama's birthday. Rebecca was diagnosed with a rare form of brittle diabetes. Her mom had to stay here and take care of her on her birthday while her dad went to Austin. She had to take an injection today. She called us at the last second. Can she get on the Fan Express? I said, you bet. Noxie's going to let you on the Fan Express with the Fox Sports Southwest girls. She's here. That's what the Fan Express is all about. Charity, giving something back. That's what Noxie's about, too.
All right,
we love you guys. We love you guys.
We'll get them another cup of coffee. We'll be right back. Way to go, Stallion.
Noxie's speechless.
Mitch Moreland saves that foul pop pretty well.
We need an encore right there. Bring that guy back. Wow, I'm pumped up after listening to that. High school football teams ought to hire that guy for halftime.
No kidding. You run out of coffee, but that's okay.
Man.
Last play, Mitch Moreland taking care of Ramirez. Pop foul. So that is the first out. Gillespie staying at first. Now Hector Jimenez, the catcher. Switch hitter up there from the left side. Darvish and the Rangers looking for that 2 ball to get him out of the inning. White Sox have not hit into a lot of double plays this year. Only 15 coming into play tonight. And there's a tailing fastball in a good spot. And it's 0-1. Darvish about ready to unload his 97th pitch of the night. If he and Giovanni Soto can get together on the sign. You can see, I think both of them are getting a little frustrated. One's got one thing in mind, the other is something else, and not able to come to an agreement.
Well, let's have a compromise.
Let's go out and talk about it. And Giovanni. And again, this is not a new working experience for either one of them. They spent a lot of time the tail end of last year working together. But not a lot of time this year. And part of the deal is that the Darvish is a different pitcher now than he was at the tail end of last year. He's evolved, and Soto, having not caught him as much, probably relying on what he remembers of what Darvish liked to throw in certain situations. Now the 0-1 pitch. And that is a little bit low. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Ranger infield, you see a step or so around to the right side. Kinsler and Andrews up at double play depth. Ground ball off the fist. Moreland to second. They get one. The return to Darvish covering. He didn't have his foot on the bag, unfortunately. And they will not get the double play. And Darvish saying, oh, my bad.
Elvis is smiling. He took a couple stabs at it, but didn't quite get it there. I think Hugh takes a lot of pride in his defense. He bounces around really well for a big. Look at Elvis laughing at him, making fun of him trying to step on the bag. Watch Hugh. He's going to get there. He just doesn't put his foot on the bag. Boom. Try it again.
It's there somewhere. Just stopped a little bit short. So 2 outs. That just goes as a fielder's choice ground out. And Dwayne Wise, a check swing. It's a strike anyway. Wise 2 for 2 tonight against Darvish. He has singled both times, once to center and once to left. And this time, the Rangers have shifted the outfield way around to the left. And Jeff Baker playing much more shallow than he did last time. It's just outside. It is 1-1.
Even Ian's smiling. Doing a little toe dance out there. Lucky he didn't miss the bag toward home plate. He would have gotten stepped on.
High fly ball pulled down the right side. That's going to curl back into the seats out of play. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Well, that's one of those ones. It's a little bit different than a ground ball to first where you're just covering first. But if you're a pitcher going over there and the ball's in the air coming from the shortstop, before you get to the bag, you need to catch the ball and then try to find the bag. Ideally, you get over there quickly enough to set up as a first baseman would before the ball is thrown from the shortstop. But if you're not going to beat the ball in the air to the bag, then you got to catch the ball first and find the bag. Pitch is outside, and it's 2-2.
Wise came into the game 2 for 22. Here's what he thinks he is at the bag like a first baseman.
Yeah.
Problem was he was a foot away from the bag. 2 for 22. Wise is 2 for 2 tonight. What are the odds of that? Guy coming in 2 for 22 and then going 2 for 2 against a guy giving up an opponent's batting average of 145.
The 2-2 pitch. That's it well to right field. Going back is Cruz. He's at the wall. That ball's gone. And we've got a tie ball game as Yu Darvish threw a little slop drop up there, and Dwayne Wise hit it out, his first home run of the year. It is a 4-4 ball game.
Well, that's a really bad pitch to a 9th place hitter. The one pitch that he would have a chance to hit out of the ballpark, and that was it. A belt high slow curveball. That's getting a little too cute right there. Right down the middle of the plate. You got that kind of stuff, you don't waste that pitch on him.
No, I agree with you. And now the pitch to Alejandro De Aza is high and away. That's the first home run that Darvish has given up this year. 38 in the third innings of work for Darvish. And that's the first one he's gotten out of the ballpark.
Now, this is not a good inning. He walked Connor Gillespie to start the inning. And then if you were going to throw him a pitch that he had a chance to hit a home run, there it is right there. 60-mile-an-hour pitch, belt high and right down the middle of the plate.
1-1 the count to De Aza, who is 0 for 2 with a walk. Ball 2.
And he's just about out of gas, I think.
And pitch count 106 now, and this will probably be his last inning, I would think. Good breaking ball to the back door. Tanner Shepard's up and throwing in the Ranger bullpen. 2 balls and 2 strikes to De Aza. Got him swinging.
Want to strike the last guy out, throw him that curveball, not the slow one.
9 strikeouts for Darvish. The side retire, but not before the White Sox tie it up. 2 runs on 1 hit. 4-4 the score. Sonic Slam Inning, brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $300 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Martha Terry from Keller. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam during this inning, Martha Terry from Keller will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. And the Rangers will be facing a right-hander now as Matt Lindstrom, 33-year-old right-hander, has come into the ballgame to take over.
Lindstrom's numbers on the season. He's given up 5 earned runs over his last 3 outings. That pretty much accounts for the damage done to him this year. Got off to a great start, but in the last 2 2/3 innings, he hasn't fared quite so well.
Lindstrom signed as a free agent by the White Sox this past January. And Jeff Baker shoots one to deep right center field. Going back as wise, he's at the warning track and hauls that in. And Baker, who had homered his last time up, had another bid for a round tripper, come up about 10 feet shy in deepest right center field, one away.
Now, Wise wasn't even supposed to start tonight. Jordan Banks was a late scratch. He got the start. He's gone 3 for 3. Had 2 hits all year. He's got 3 tonight, including a 2-run homer. figure that one out.
Here's Giovanni Soto, who's 0 for 2. And that's out of play to the right. Soto hit the ball hard in the second inning, but it turned into a double play. A great play by the shortstop, Alexei Ramirez, to start that double play. Last time up, Giovanni went down swinging against Jose Quintana. Makes a breaking ball from Lindstrom that hangs high. Lindstrom last year, 34 games with the Orioles before going over to the Diamondbacks, where he had 12 games for Arizona. And ball 2 is high. A 4-4 ball game. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Inside, 3 balls and a strike to Giovanni Soto. Soto trying to get aboard with 1 out. Mitch Moreland, who is 2 for 2 tonight, will follow. Rangers 4 runs on 8 hits. White Sox 4 runs on 7 hits. They have committed the only 2 errors of the ball game. High and tight, ball 4. And Soto with the go-ahead run aboard at first base. 1 out here in the 6th inning. Steele and Jones, left-hander, right-handed combination. And it looks like they want the left-hander Thiel to come on with Mitch Moreland, the scheduled hitter. So 1 on, 1 out. Lindstrom's night is finished after 2 hitters. It's the 3rd of an inning, gives up a walk. We will take a short timeout while the pitching change is underway. A 4-4 ball game here in Arlington on Fox Sports Southwest. Up on Saturday, May 11th. Camp out under the stars in the outfield and watch the Rangers on TV against the Astros from Houston. Then hang out for a special screening of the movie The Sandlot. Log on to TexasRangers.com/sleepover to purchase tickets today. And Donnie Veal, the 28-year-old left-hander, on now to face Mitch Moreland. Veal, a 6'4" angular left-hander up on top of the hill. Breaking ball is wide to Mitch. Moreland 2 for 2 tonight. They were both off of a left-hander, Jose Quintana. Pair of singles, 1 to center and 1 to left. Soto, the runner at first. He's there after a 1-out walk. Another breaking ball is wide, and pitch able to lay off it. 2-0. Moreland now with a batting average of .259 as he faces Veal here in the 6th inning. Left-hander okays the sign, a check of Soto. And Mitch had a good rip at that fastball, fouled it back, 2-1 the count. Moreland now a 5-game hitting streak. He has gone 8 for 17 in those 5 ball games. 2-1 as Veal sets. Left field, going over Diaz. It's over his head. It's going to the wall. Being waved around third is Soto. Here comes Ramirez's throw. It is not in time. And into third goes Moreland after an RBI double. The Rangers regain the lead. It is 5-4.
That ball shot over Diaz's head like a 747. He didn't have a prayer to catch that ball. And Ramirez made the long throw home, and as soon as he threw it, Moreland just kept going right straight to third base, where he stands with 1 out and a chance to score on a sacrifice fly. 3 straight hits for Mitch. Got ahead in the count. He took 2 breaking balls for a 2-0 count. Got 2 fastballs. That pitch is a pretty good pitch. Down and away, outside corner. I think off the bat, they also might have thought he had a chance for that ball, but the angle he took gave him no chance. He went straight over to try to catch it. It just went straight over his head.
Yeah, good job by Giovanni Soto getting in under the tag by Hector Jimenez. So Moreland drives in his first run of the night, his 10th of the year. Rangers regain the lead. Another pitching change underway. We'll be right back on Fox Sports Southwest. Watch this collision at home plate. Boom.
Yeah, he did a nice job of trying to block the plate. Giovanni just barely got his foot in there.
Soto scoring the go-ahead run here in the 6th inning. Rangers regain the lead. It is now a 5-4 Ranger lead. And Nate Jones, 27-year-old right-hander, coming on to be the 3rd pitcher of this inning, used by Robin Ventura.
And he'll face Leonis Martin, who's going to pinch hit for Craig Gentry. The infield in. Rangers trying to get another run here. Bounce right back after Wise's 2-run homer. Try to make it the 3rd straight inning where they've scored a couple of runs.
Jones, a lot of sliders. Fastball slider type pitcher. And he misses badly high and outside for ball one. 95-mile-an-hour fastball that just barely got going northwest. Hey, this guy, the times I've seen him throw, makes my arm hurt. The way he reaches out behind him and stops everything and then tries to go again. I need an ice pack up here. And Leonis fouls it off down the left side. That will reach the seats in the lower seating area. It is 1 ball and 1 strike. Martin, a couple of RBI. Pitch hitting for Craig Gentry, who went 0 for 2, but scored a run in the 5th inning. Hector Jimenez flashing the signs out, and now Nate Jones ready. And the pitch in at the knees at 97 with some pretty good sinking action.
Man, you can get it up there, boy. He's got a good arm. Got some good arms out in the bullpen. Matt Thornton's a mid-90s guy. Lindstrom, Addison Reed.
A ball and 2 strikes. Got him on the fist and a roller to second. That's not going to get the run home. On to first. Martin retired. Staying at third is Mitch Moreland. There are now 2 outs. And it'll be up to Elvis Andrus if the Rangers are to score again here in the 6th inning. Or excuse me, Ian Kinsler. Kinsler coming to the plate, 1 for 3 tonight. Had that big RBI double last inning and came around to score on Elvis Andrus' base hit. Well, the infield now back at normal depth. Moreland at third. You got to be alert for a wild pitch possibility here. And that pitch is low for ball 1. Jones comes set. Check of third. Kinsler up the middle, base hit. In to score Moreland, a big base hit for Ian Kinsler. It is 6-4 Rangers.
Love those 2-out hits. Bring the infield in, you get the easy ground out. Feel like you're all right, good. We get out of that inning, and Ian just rips one right back through the middle.
A 2 RBI tonight for Ian Kinsler. Now is 16 for the year. Went right back through the middle. Good job of hitting.
Yeah, pretty swing. Well, Rangers 2 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th.
You can just keep right on putting 2s up there if you want to.
Yep. Take that.
Elvis showing a bunt. Elvis thought that the way he looked at it first, he might have thought Ian was going to try and steal second while he squared around, but apparently Ian couldn't get a jump down there. 0-1 the count to Elvis. Elvis 1 for 3 tonight. Rangers now with double figures in hits. They are at 10. Outside, hard breaking ball missed. 1-1 the count. Kinsler with 3 stolen bases and 4 attempts at first. Trying to step off that lead. Pretty good lead over there now. He's staying put. And the breaking ball to the outside corner makes it 1-2 to Elvis.
Right in the part of the strike zone you want to hit with your slider if you're going to throw it for a strike.
Jones set. And the pitch grounded to the right side. A base hit. Kinsler around second, headed for third. And they will play first and third here with 2 outs. as Elvis Andrus has his second hit of the night. It'll give Lance Berkman a chance to drive in a run.
A couple of good at-bats by two right-hand hitters against kid throwing 96 miles an hour with a hard slider. Got Martine with a man on third and one out, but now he's back right in the middle of a jam. High fastball, nice job. Drive that thing into right field. It's starting to come for Elvis.
Yep.
Mitch is up over 260. Elvis is kind of knocking on the door. They're starting to get right back where they should be. He put the finishing touches on a nice inning right here with Lance up with 2 outs.
Well, 3 hits in the inning, 2 runs across, and Berkman looking for more. He has Elvis at first, Kinsler at third. Berkman 1 for 2, singled his last time up. It's also walked tonight. And that average at .324 as he faces Nate Jones. And now time called as Jones couldn't get together on the signs. First pitch to Berkman. Low and outside. First time Lance has hit from the left side of the plate tonight. First 3 at-bats he had were against the starter, Jose Quintanilla. Off speed, and that finds the mark. It is 1-1. Look at the defense straight away in the outfield, around to the right on the infield. 2-1. Matt Lindstrom started this inning, got 1 out. He gave up a walk, lifted for the left-hander Donnie Veal, who gave up a double, a run-scoring double to Mitch Moreland, the only hitter he faced. And then Nate Jones has come on and gotten 1 more out. Low and inside, it's 3 balls and a strike. But Berkman, as usual, hitting ahead in the count. If he continues the inning, Ranger cleanup man Adrian Beltre will be next. Jones with a 3-1 pitch. Outside, ball 4. And that loads him up for Beltre. And this is our Sonic Slam inning. $25,000 on the line here. And Adrian Beltre trying to hit the jackpot. Beltre tonight, a fly ball and a couple of ground outs. Facing Nate Jones. And the pitch is on the outside corner. Went to Heath up and throwing now in the White Sox bullpen. Beltre 1 for 1 in his career against Nate Jones. Wave and a miss. Good slider. And Beltre in the hole now at 0-2. Kinsler at third, Andrus at second, Berkman at first. Nate Jones ready to go, the 0-2 pitch.
Oh, nice play.
Good job by Jimenez to shift his body out there on that hard slider.
Went for the strikeout and almost threw a wild pitch.
Beltre waiting. Jones reading the signs. Right-hander sets at the belt. Outside, it gets away. Down the line is Kinsler. He will score standing. And the Rangers take a 7-4 lead.
Well, he tried, he threw a nice slider for strike two. Then he tried to throw two perfect sliders to get the strikeout. He threw them both in the dirt, and Jimenez could only block one of them. Rangers pick up a big run. That's a tough one to catch.
Yeah, that was so far outside. Jimenez couldn't get his body out there. He tried to the backhand, and boy, and a hard slider, that's almost impossible. No, Kinsler scores. Everybody else advances 90 feet. Andrus to third. Berkman to second. The count is 2-2 to Beltre. Check swing. Did he go around? No, he did not. Another wild pitch. In to score is Andrus. And the Rangers lead 8-4. Boy, it went from almost a strikeout, an inning-ending strikeout, to a wild pitch and an appeal. And the Rangers put another on the board.
Well, they've done enough hitting, but they're taking advantage of some wild pitching right here. Pick up 2 more runs. Looked like a very damaging 2-run homer that you had given up to Wise to make it 4-4, but Rangers come right back in the 6th to score 4.
And Beltre a drive, high and deep to left field. At the wall, De Asa, goodbye! Beltre, his 5th home run of the year. The Rangers lead 10-4, and Martha Terry from Keller, if it had not been for a couple of wild pitches, I won't even go there. You win $300 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. Congratulations.
Well, that's putting the cap on the inning right there. Fortune can turn around in a second. The disappointment of a 2-run homer to tie the game, and bang, come right back with 6 runs. Ryu goes with a great chance to win a game to looks like a no decision, and then that hanging slider put the finishing touches on a 6-run inning, at least for now. It gives you a chance to make his 5th win of the season.
And Adrian Beltre put the finishing touches on an 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position with that home run. There are a lot of good things happening. Elvis Andrus had ended a long drought with runners in scoring position. Now Adrian Beltre does the same, and the Rangers have struck for 6 in the 6th.
And all of a sudden, the 2 runs in 2 days in Minnesota are a thing of the past.
Yep.
Ron Washington said this, and it really looked like it at the end of the Minnesota series. Coming back home, great. Off day, great. Should add up to a well-rested team, and they've come out and played that way. That was a perfect time for an off day.
Yep.
Perfect time to come home.
Sure was. And Cruz fouls it out of play to the right. 98-mile-an-hour fastball. A little anger from Nate Jones.
Yeah, Jones is the 3rd pitcher this inning, and he's thrown 26 pitches.
One ball and 2 strikes. And Cruz gone on strikes. Pretty good breaking ball. That'll do it, but the Rangers send 9 men to the plate. 6 of them score. We're headed to the 7th inning here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. It's the Rangers 10, the White Sox 4 on Fox Sports Southwest. middle innings have gone crazy. A lot of crooked numbers up there. Nelly Cruz and Jeff Baker back-to-back home runs to get the offense untracked in the 4th inning. Adrian Beltre capping off a 6-run 6th inning with his 5th home run of the year. And Mitch Moreland, great night for the Ranger first baseman. 3 for 3 with a double and a couple of singles. Now Tanner Shepard takes over as we head to the 7th inning. Shepard will face Tyler Green to start things off, and zips one in about letter high to him for ball 1.
The good thing about Mitch's day is all 3 hits came against left-handed pitching. Tanner off to a great start. Doesn't have an ERA yet. Hoping to keep it that way.
And fires a strike, knee high at 97. 1-1. Well, Rob Morris, our statistician tonight, going crazy. He's giving me all kinds of stuff. It's all Leonis Martinez stayed in the ballgame in center field. Reminds me of the 2nd straight game for the Rangers here at home to get into double figures. They scored 11 against the Mariners before the last road trip began on that Sunday afternoon. Breaking ball slips wide of the mark, and the count is 2-2. Shepard's the 26-year-old from Southern California. Call strike 3.
Well, Green didn't like the call. Looked like a good pitch. Let's see. Yeah, that's a good pitch right in the outside corner.
Shepard strikes out the first man he faces. Now Alex Rios will come up. Rios 1 for 3, a single, a run scored, and an RBI. That all happened back in the 1st inning. And a fastball is poured right through there by Shepard.
98 miles an hour. Throws a nice easy 98.
Yes, he does. One and one. Jeffers is pretty well taken over the right-handed portion anyway of the 8th inning job for the Rangers. A good breaking ball. And primarily because his stuff, obviously, but his ability to throw strikes now. And consistently, he's proven to Ron Washington and Mike Maddox and company that he is reliable and consistent coming in those situations. Up the middle, behind second, Kinsler, off balance throw, got him. Nice play by Kinsler. You talk about having to make a long, hard throw with your body going completely the other way. What a play.
I didn't think there was any chance he was going to make that play. Plus, that's a good example of why Ian shouldn't flip the ball to Elvis on that same play.
Yeah.
He's tried that a couple of times. When you've got that kind of physical ability, make the play.
Yeah.
Wow, what a play. Great play. Wash loves that. Salute him.
There you go.
I feel the same way. So do you, Buzz. That was a great play.
That's my second baseman.
Yes, sir.
All right. So 2 away. Here's Adam Dunn, who is 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. And a fastball is a little bit tight for ball 1. Dunn at 138, but 5 home runs. And he takes high for ball 2. Dunn has 12 hits this year, and 5 of them left the ballpark. And Tanner now falling behind 3 balls and no strikes. And nails down the outside corner. 3-1. Done with 12 hits, 2 doubles, and 5 home runs. So better than half of his hits have been extra bases. It's this one well to left field. Baker is turning to watch this one go. It's going to land in the seats, out of the ballpark. A home run for Dunn, his 6th of the year. It is 10-5 Rangers.
I showed you how strong he is. He looked like he just reached out and popped that ball up to shortstop. And it went 380 feet. And Tanner Scheppers has an ERA now. Look at that arm. Wow. That's not right. Poor kid's going to go home and dream about that ball he just got. He doesn't understand that one. I don't blame him.
So a 5-run lead now for the Rangers, and Paul Konerko, 1 for 3, steps in. And takes a strike from Tanner Scheppers.
Sort of a guy sitting there trying to process what just happened.
And Konerko lifts a fly ball to left center field. This one's playable. Leonis Martin over toward the alley, makes the catch, and that'll do it. But Adam Dunn gets 1 on the board for the White Sox. His 6th home run of the year. Stretch time at Arlington. Rangers 10, White Sox 5 on Fox Sports Southwest. Production, especially in the middle innings tonight. The big one, I guess you'd have to say, Mitch Moreland down there with a double and a couple of singles, an RBI and a run. And of course, Beltre, Cruz, and Baker in the middle, all with home runs tonight. That has proven to be the difference, 10-5, and Deontay Heath is on now to take over on the hill.
His 3rd game coming up. He's only pitched 2 2/3 innings. Had a little bit of a problem with his command. Early, 2 2/3, 4 walks, giving up a home run.
Casper Wells, the newest White Sox, in the ball game now, taking over in left field. Wells just picked up off the waiver wire by the White Sox. Jeff Baker starting things off. He began that 6-run uprising in the 6th inning by flying out to deep right center field. 2 for 3 tonight. That solo home run, going back to back with Nelson Cruz in the 5th. And he takes high. It's 2 balls and no strikes against Heath. .381 the average for Jeff Baker. Oh, and he skies one deep center field. Going back is wise. He is at the track, puts the brakes on, and makes the catch right up against the 404 sign.
But Jeff Baker has taken some great swings tonight. He had a single, then he hit a home run. Now he's flied out to deep left center, and he's flied out to deep right center. He just missed a chance for 3 home runs today. That is swinging the bat tonight.
The one long out. And here's Giovanni Soto, who got the Ranger offense going with a walk last inning.
Those high ones aren't the ones that really take advantage of the jet stream. You need to hit them a little lower. And then that one might have gone out of here, but he got underneath it just a little bit.
Michael Kirkman getting loose in the Ranger bullpen.
If it goes up too high, the wind actually knocks it down. It goes up above the jet stream.
Inside from Heath. 2 balls and no strikes. I don't think any of the home runs hit tonight have needed much help from the jet stream, but
no, Jeff's first home run was going no matter what, for sure.
Chopper to third. Gillespie across the diamond. And Soto retired. That's 2 away. And Mitch Moreland coming up. Time for a Mazda game break. Here's Dana Larson. Dana?
First baseman, Mitch Moreland.
All right, Dana, thank you. Boston, the best record in all of baseball coming into play today.
Toronto trying to get something going. They came in today 9-17. Big expectations there.
Heath misses inside off the plate to Mitch Moreland. 1 ball and no strikes. How about Mitch? His 13th career 3-hit ball game. Now got that average up to 267. And he was trying to add a home run to the other 3 hits tonight.
Yeah, Heath took a little off that, threw him a changeup. Yeah, you can tell Mitch is feeling better. The way he's taken some of those left-handed breaking balls, hasn't even begun to swing at them. That's what he did last time. Took 2 for 2 balls, then got a fastball and drilled it to left center field. Big hit for the Rangers.
Takes that breaking ball down and in. It's 2-1.
Drove in the go-ahead run in the 6th inning. Shot it right over Diaz's head in left field.
Way inside. 3-1 the count. So Mitch, a chance to extend the inning. If he does, Leonis Martin will follow. Rangers 10 runs on 12 hits tonight. White Sox 5 runs on 8 hits. Inside and high, ball 4. And the perfect night continues for Mitch Moreland. Add a walk to his 3 hits. And Leonis Martin will come up for the second at bat. Leonis coming off a pretty good road trip. He hit .308, went 4 for 13 in the 7-game trip. Adrian Beltre trying to make sure he remembers what happened last time when he hit that home run.
Capture that last swing again.
Okay, what did that feel like exactly?
Looks like all of us on the tee box after you've hit a couple of good drives. How can I figure out what I did right? How am I going to do it again? Hope he has more luck than we do.
Yeah. Martin, a .255 hitter. Heath, the high set. And a rip and a miss. It's 1-1. Moreland the lead from first. The pitch to Martin is pop foul. On the left side, that will reach the seats. And the count moves to 1-2. Leonis Martin waiting at home plate. Deontay Heath ready. Chopper foul just past Dave Anderson down the first base line. And we'll try it again at a ball and 2 strikes. The Rangers have done all their damage in the middle part of this ball game. 2 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, and 6th in the 6th. Yu Darvish started the game, had a rocky first inning, worked out of it with a couple of runs given up, settled down nicely until the 6th inning. That pitch is high. Gave up 2 more on the 2-out home run to Dwayne Wise. And that was it for the night. Ball club came back and regained the lead in the bottom of the 6th. Mitch Moreland at first. Leonis Martin waiting the 2-2 pitch. To right field. Almost dead in his tracks. Alex Rios makes the grab, and that will do it. Well, the Rangers, no runs. The Walker left stranded. We're going to the 8th inning. Rangers 10, White Sox 5. Fox Sports Southwest.
Rangers 10-5, progressive fan of the game. Tom, it's Kobe, of course. What happens to the home run ball comes here. He catches the ball, gives it to Kobe, but his sister right here throws it back on the field. Kobe, what were you thinking?
That stinks.
Yes, it does. Well, it doesn't stink anymore. Here's the progressive bag. Here's a brand new Ranger baseball I got you, buddy. What do you think about that?
It's awesome.
It's awesome. Way to go, big guy. Your sister, we will not talk to her for at least a day, okay, buddy?
Okay.
You got it. All right, thanks, Tom.
Nice going, Noxie. He deserved that.
All right.
Look on that poor kid's face. He just didn't understand that at all.
Michael Kirkman on now to take over on the hill.
I am glad it was his sister, not just a random fan that took the ball away from him. At least he can vent a little bit on her.
Here are the numbers on Kirkman. 10 outings. This is the 11th. With ERA went up a little bit. He gave up 3 runs his last time out. And a line drive to center. Martin coming in a hurry and slides to make the catch. That might have been one of those knuckleballs out there, the way that Leonis came in after it.
That was one of those balls, catch it and slide. Yeah, that's probably a pretty bad feeling. I can't remember having one. I didn't play center field very much, but have one knuckle at you, what that would feel like. But that might have been doing that. Looked like it did. Looked like it did go to the right a little bit. Good concentration. Got it all the way. Nice play.
I don't know if the ball did, but he changed directions a couple times. Here's Alexei Ramirez. And a check swing foul. It's back to the screen, 0-1. Ramirez 0 for 3 tonight. A strikeout, line drive to left, and a foul pop. Facing Kirkman for the first time. Michael, you mentioned he gave up 3 in his last outing. That was the second, I should say the Saturday game in Minnesota. 4 hits and 3 runs in his inning of work. Trying now to get things back under control. The 1-1 pitch. 2-1. Target set by Soto on the inside corner. Fastball is there, and it's fouled away to the right. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now Nick Tepesch will take the hill tomorrow night. Game 2 of this 3-game series against the White Sox. Chris Sale, the fine left-hander, will oppose him. And then on Thursday night, I should say, Justin Grimm and Jake Peavy will square off. Down the first baseline, diving stop. And Moreland gets up. Kirkman can't get there in time. And Ramirez will have an infield hit. And Michael Kirkman upset with himself for not covering first quickly enough.
Oh, beautiful. It's too bad. It was a beautiful play by Mitch, who came up with the ball and then just didn't have anything to do with it. I thought at first he might be able to beat Ramirez to the bag running, but he makes the choice that he couldn't, and probably couldn't. Has to give up the ball, and Michael couldn't quite get there in time.
So that is the 9th hit of the night for the White Sox. First one for Ramirez. And here's Jimenez, catcher, the switch hitter, turns around to hit from the right side and takes low for ball 1.
There have been a couple of plays that haven't been made tonight. The PFP.
Yep.
Pitchers fielding practice plays. Michael didn't get over in time, and Darvish had a chance to step on first base to complete an inning-ending double play. And shortly after that, 2-run homer tied the game. Otherwise, he's out of the inning.
And strike to the inside corner. It's 1-1. Yeah, you remember a couple of times last year the Rangers pitchers had to come out early and go through a few drills. I'm not saying that's going to happen necessarily tomorrow, but it wouldn't be a surprise. 1-1 pitch. Rip and a miss. It's 1-2. Ron Washington seeing how his club responds to the first time this year they've had a losing streak to contend with. There are 2 losses on Saturday and Sunday were the first back-to-back losses by the Rangers this year. It's fouled away. And I guess if you were going to say initially what kind of response did they get? Pretty good. Put up 10. Yu Darvish able to settle down after a rocky first, get through 6 innings. Offense catches fire in the middle of the ball game and puts 10 on the board in the span of 3 innings. Kirkman again with a 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball, see you later. Well, that is out number 2. And let's take a look at the AT Twitter results. The question was, who's the Rangers player of the month for April, according to you all? The answer, Yu Darvish, 64% of you felt it was you, 23% Ian Kinsler, 13% Nelly Cruz. Appreciate you giving us your input. It looks like Yu Darvish, barring a major White Sox comeback, will move to 5-1 for the month. Dwayne Wise 3 for 3 tonight. Pair of singles, that 2-run home run that tied the ball game in the top of the 6th inning, very briefly. Going to left field. Baker toward the alley. He's going to have to play it on a hop. Around to third. And stopping at third is Ramirez. Into second with his 4th hit of the night. Dwayne Wise, 4 for 4, and just a triple shy of the cycle.
Yeah, some kind of night. Kid's, well, he's not a kid anymore. He's 35 years old. He's been up in the big leagues off and on forever. He's about a 225 lifetime hitter. 2 for 22 coming into the game. And he's 4 for 4 with a 2-run homer that tied the game halfway through the game. What a night. And wasn't even scheduled to start the game.
Mike Maddox out to have a chat with Michael Kirkman and Giovanni Soto. Soto, a few parting words after Mike Maddox left to Michael Kirkman.
I got a feeling Dwayne Wise is going to be in the lineup tomorrow.
I would hope so. Well, for one thing, we don't know how Jordan Danks is going to recuperate, but the guy goes 4 for 4. You would think he'd be a pretty good.
I think he's got a shot at playing tomorrow.
Here's Alejandro De Aza, who is 0 for 3, and he takes a strike from Kirkman. Excuse me, Casper Wells is the hitter in De Aza's spot. He came on defensively last half inning. But Casper Wells, the career numbers for the outfielder. And he takes strike 2. Robin Ventura. Not really a questioning look, but the look of a skipper that's seen his ball club down at 10-5, and they're still trying to fight back in it. Breaking ball is low. It's a ball and 2 strikes to Wells.
Robbie Ross. Get loose.
Kirkman, a long look in. Now the left-hander's ready. From the set, he deals. High off the glove of Soto all the way to the backstop. Down the line to score is Alexei Ramirez on the wild pitch. It is a 10-6 Ranger lead, and advancing to third is Dwayne Wise. A little of what the Rangers had going their favor in the 6th inning. White Sox get here in the 8th inning.
And this, looked like the kind of game where you wouldn't have to worry about Joe Nathan. Let Joe have the night off and save him for a save opportunity, but not careful, it's going to be a save opportunity. There you go.
Breaking ball got him swinging, so that'll do it. White Sox come up with a run on a couple of hits. They strand 1. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Rangers 10, White Sox 6. Fox Sports Southwest. fans. Tickets are still available, but they're going very fast, so get yours today at TexasRangers.com. Sunday afternoon, a 2 o'clock game with the Red Sox in town. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Ian Kinsler leading things off. Deontay Heath fires a strike. Ian 2 for 4 tonight. He has scored a couple of runs, driven in a couple, single and a double. A wave and a miss at the breaking ball. Well, Ian now with the 2 hits this evening, batting average up to .320. Way inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now, Darvish, the Rangers able to hang on to make him a 5-game winner. He would become just one of 6 Ranger pitchers in franchise history to win 5 games in the month of April.
I think he'd like to have that last slow curveball back that he threw to Dwayne Wise, but at the same time, Buzz, I think it was an example of what you were talking earlier, where maybe he didn't have his best command tonight, but he competed for 6 innings. He battled through it, and the Rangers kind of bailed him out with that 6-run inning. Going to give him a chance to get a win tonight.
Kinsler, a rocket flag down by Gillespie at third. What a play by the third sacker, and Kinsler is robbed of another base hit. And let's go down to Dana Larson. Dana?
Buzz, we've seen just about everything in this game, a little bit of everything, and so much to discuss coming up here on Rangers Live, presented by Esurance. We'll talk about Darvish's up and down night, the crooked number in the 6th inning. We'll get reaction from the clubhouse and, of course, bring you Ron Washington's post-game press conference. That is all on the way as you join me and Mark McLemore coming up. Rangers Live, presented by Esurance.
All right, Dana. Boy, a jam-packed show tonight. And hopefully a Ranger victory to talk about and dissect. Elvis Andrus 2 out of 4. Pair of singles, a run scored, and an RBI tonight. Low and outside. Talking about Darvish. Chance to win his 5th game in the month of April. Rick Helling and Aaron Seeley both went 5-0 that 98 season. What a play by Ramirez. Well, you talk about an athletic shortstop. Ball not hit very hard, but he still made a very graceful athletic play to take the hit away from Elvis. And consecutive seasons with 17 or more wins in April. They win tonight, the Rangers can do it. They join the White Sox, the Yankees, Mariners when they had those great years in the early 2000s, and the Braves.
I don't see many teams back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s winning 17 games in April.
Not in April.
It's because they used to start on, what, April 12th?
Yeah, 15th, somewhere in there. Get about 10 games in with all the train travel and everything. Lance Berkman is 1 for 2 officially, a couple of walks. And he chops one slowly on the right side. Green shovels it on to first. That'll do it. So Rangers, thanks to some good defense by the White Sox, go down in order. We're going to the 9th inning. Rangers trying to close out a 10-6 lead over the White Sox. Right back here tomorrow night, Fox Sports Southwest, 7:05 game with Nick Tepish and Chris Sale. They're outstanding young pitchers on the hill in the middle game of this 3-game series. Rangers and the White Sox. And as we head to the top of the 9th inning, Robbie Ross has come in from the Ranger bullpen to take over on the hill.
Another young relief pitcher off to a great start. Robbie's 11th game. ERA is under 1. Pitched 11 innings. Kept the ball in the ballpark, doing a great job. David Murphy going to take over in left field for Jeff Baker, who definitely swung the bat tonight.
And Tyler Green starting things off. He looks at strike one from Ross. Green 1 for 4, a triple and a run scored back in the first inning. Ross working quickly and very quickly gets ahead of the count, 0-2. Soto sets that target inside, 0-2 pitch. Straightened up Tyler Green. A ball and 2 strikes. Got him swinging. Strikeout for Robbie Ross. And that is the 13th strikeout by Ranger pitching tonight. Yu Darvish had 9 in his 6 innings of work. Tanner Shepard's had 1. Michael Kirkman had 2, and now Robbie Ross has 1. A lot of punch outs for this Ranger pitching staff. Here's Alex Rios, 1 for 4. Rios singled home the first run of the game back in the first inning for the White Sox. Ended up scoring the second in that inning. Stole second, brought home by Paul Konerko's base hit. Ahead of the count here, 2-0. And swinging on 2-0, he hits one right up the silo. Going back, Giovanni Soto near the on-deck circle, puts it away. And the White Sox now down to their final out, and it will be Adam Dunn. Yu Darvish, Leori Garcia. Maybe you was trying to explain to him way through that slow curveball to Dwayne Weiss.
Well, Leori's saying, look, if I ever face you, will you throw me that same pitch? A lot of people, we don't know Yu Darvish that well because we don't get a chance to communicate with him, but just watching him, it really looks, Buzz, like he's gone out of his way to try to be a good teammate.
Yeah.
And fit in on any given night. You watch him down in the dugout, he's talking to different people every night, making a real effort.
Yeah, and apparently his Spanish is coming along as well as his English is.
Trying to speak Spanish, trying to speak English. Having a good time.
Adam Dunn, a rip and a miss. It's 2-1. Yeah, what's left of the crowd that initially was 40,646 on their feet. Trying to encourage Robbie Ross and company to finish things off, and instead, Adam Dunn gets plunked by an inside fastball. So Ross trying to keep the ball in on him, and he got that one right in between the C and the H, I think it was, of Chicago. He was headed there anyway. So a man on. Paul Konerko is the hitter. Konerko 1 for 4 with an RBI single. And that breaking ball almost hit Konerko. 1-0. And Ron Washington going to go out. Yeah. Teaching moment about competing and what has to be done.
Yeah, if you get a base runner here, it becomes a save opportunity.
Yes, it does. And because of that, Joe Nathan is starting to loosen in the Ranger bullpen, and he would have just as soon had not had to get Nathan up at all tonight. There's Nathan getting loose. One and 0 the count to Konerko. Dunn's going to go to second as Ross fires that right down the middle. That'll be defensive indifference, allowing Adam Dunn to get to second base. 1-1 as Ross staring in for the signs from Giovanni Soto. Series of signs. Now Konerko backing out as he asks for time. The 1-1 pitch. On the right side, Moreland picks it up. He will take it to the bag himself, and the Rangers have snapped their mini two-game losing streak. The final here tonight, the Rangers 10 and the White Sox 6. Yu Darvish 5-1 now, and a 5-game winner in the month of April. He becomes one of 6 Rangers in franchise history to accomplish that feat. Rick Helling and Aaron Seeley were both 5-0 in 1998. Then you have to go back into the 70s to get Jim Bibby in 74 and Fergie Jenkins in 74, along with Bobby Witt in 97 to turn that feat. So Yu Darvish 5-1 as the Rangers win their 17th game against 9 defeats. And they close out the month of April in first place by at least 2 games. And right now they are 2.5 ahead of the Oakland Athletics, pending the outcome of the Oakland Angel game later on tonight on the West Coast. Ron Washington, congratulations all around. The offense got things untracked in the 4th inning. They had gone 13 innings without scoring, and they put a halt to that very quickly. Let's head down to the field where Emily Jones is standing by him.
Yes, with Mitch Moreland, 3 for 3 tonight. Mitch, feeling good at the plate of late?
Yeah, it's been going pretty good. Just trying to get up there and compete and, get a good pitch to hit. And so far, it's been I've been able to do that.
Offensively, you guys broke out tonight. That had to feel good being back home, coming off the off day.
Yeah, it really did. We came out and put some great at-bats together. It kind of took us a little while to get going, but we had 3 good innings there, and it really kind of carried us through the rest of the game.
You didn't have his best stuff tonight, kept you guys in it. Big to get the run support for him. That seems to be a trend here lately.
Yeah, every time he goes out, he's going to give you a chance to win. He's the ultimate competitor, and, sometimes he seems almost unhittable, but, tonight he had to battle and keep us in the game, and he did a great job.
You need to work with him on touching first over there?
I think he does all right on his own.
Mitch, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Congratulations on the win, guys. We'll send it back up to you.
All right, Emily, thank you very much. Now, 3 hours and 16 minutes after it began, the Rangers are victorious. Texas Rangers Baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Ford. Take the EcoBoost Challenge at your Texas Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T U-Burst TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. We'll be back to wrap things up from Rangers Ballpark in Arlington right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.